Hold on to your mug. We're in for a wild night.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Born to be Warlock, a WoW exclusive Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends, talking about the WoW format of Hearthstone, spotlighting members of the WoW community. I am your host, as always, Nate Wolf. It's good to be back on another beautiful Friday evening here in Portland, Oregon. We have a little bit of a different lineup tonight because Hydra is on vacation. And so I'm joined, though, by my very good friend, Electric Sheep City. How you doing tonight?
Howdy, doing fantastic here in the city of Electric Warlocks. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And hey, we got a very special guest here with us filling in for Hydra tonight. So SchmoopieDaddy, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Nate, when I got the DM, the inner fangirl in me squealed with delight, so I'm very stoked to be here, and I'm really excited to talk about Warlocks this show.
Nice. That is what is happening in Wild right now. And so, of course, we had to bring on the Warlock himself back for a repeat visit to the show, but let me introduce you a little bit. Multi-legend, high legend, Wild Warlock expert, co-host of the Hearthstoners podcast, and Pokemon trainer. Welcome back to the show, GulDaniel. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much, guys, for having me back on. I'm so flattered. I believe this is my third time.
I think so.
I'm gonna kind of call squatters' rights, and I feel like I'm a permanent guest on the show moving forward. I'm gonna start asking to be paid a little bit more, maybe flowing out. Maybe once or twice, but I'm really happy to be here.
I'll ship you a White Claw.
That's all I need. It feels great because this is my third time here. It's been with a new host every time. It feels like I'm getting to meet some new people. Electric Sheep Shady, I just mentioned before we hopped on, I had seen a couple of your Lego streams, and I'm just looking at your backdrop. That's awesome. And then SchmoopieDaddy, I know you've been pretty involved into the Born to the Wild stuff, so I'm pretty excited to get to know you a little bit more. And Nate, I mean, yeah, we've hung out a couple of times.
Hey, yeah.
So I'm really glad to be back, especially in this little Warlock meta we're experiencing right now. So
yeah, it's something else for sure. Well, we're excited to have you back. I hope that most of our listeners are familiar with you, but could we get maybe an abbreviated intro for you? Just something little. How long you been playing Hearthstone, or how you turned into a degenerate Warlock player, or whatever.
So basically, long story short, I started playing right around Frozen Thrones into the transition to Kobolds and Catacombs. And when I first started in Hearthstone, my first legendary was Lord Jiraxis, and it kind of just steered me right into that direction. Looked at all the hero powers, life tap seemed like the best one, so I kind of took that and ran, and I never looked back. Void Lord came out, and I've been a Warlock main ever since.
You were at it before it was cool. There you go. I like it.
Exactly. I've been playing this game, and now that it's super busted, I was here on the ship way before. I'm first mate at this point, not at captain yet, but I'm there. My next closest class might be 250 ranked wins, and I have over 6,000 Warlock wins. So it's pretty much been my one trick pony. Defile, I love that card, Void Lord, and so yeah, that's kind of the rundown of my little Hearthstone abridged journey.
I like it. Can I put you on the spot for 1 second? We did this last time, and I feel a little bad about it, but it was so great that I was kind of wondering if I could get you to do your Jiraxis impression again.
Oh no, I haven't done that. I haven't heard a Jiraxis so long. Hold on. Oh, it's gonna be bad.
That's.
I don't. What does he say? What does he say?
You face Jiraxis.
Eredor, Lord.
Jiraxis. Oh no, that was bad. That was rough. But I haven't seen a turn 9 in a couple weeks, so I don't know what I would think about him right now.
What's that?
He was playable for a minute in the Barrens, right? For a second there, it was oh great, Dead Man's Hand Warrior. Let's just throw in Jiraxis.
Inferno. I will say,
playable in Priest. Almost. They were just covering him off of Zephyrus and playing him, and I kind of felt jealous.
Yeah.
He was my first golden legendary, and I think after I crafted him golden, I played him a grand total of 0 times.
Feels bad.
It's been rough.
What did you think about, kind of an off-the-wall question, but when they introduced the core set, what did you think about the Draxus buff?
I was super stoked for it.
I mean, still not playable, but like... It was nice.
Right. Still unplayable, but it felt like maybe you could consider it and something weird that you weren't running a ton of demons in. It got me thinking of a lot of decks that Warlock cards could use that you weren't resurrecting just Void Lords and Void Callers. When he gets rolling, I did jump back into Standard a little bit just to play him. When he gets rolling, it's quite fun.
Oh, yeah.
And just very overpowering because the first turn feels like a little slow, but right after that, you just compound it and your opponent has issues.
Can I tell you, this is a little embarrassing, but like when they announced the core set, well, what they did was I think right before, they announced the core set and there were still a lot of questions about how it all worked, and they had announced the change to a handful of cards, Jiraxis being one of them. And I was like, oh my god, this is great. I went out and crafted it in gold, and then we got all the golden core set cards for free, right? So like, it's buried somewhere. I can't even find it in the collection manager. But somewhere I have a crafted gold Jiraxis. So.
That's funny. That's funny. I am glad they did away with that little bug where if you had the core set card and the classic card would come up, you would have like 4 copies of them, or like
gosh.
6 copies of them. That was kind of frustrating.
I was paranoid to disenchant anything because like I didn't want to lose it later, and we still don't know what's going to happen when the core set rotates. And so I'm just like not touching anything. I don't want to. I'm going to be pretty upset if I have to craft like Alexstrasza the Lifebinder or
Talon Fordring,
right? Yeah. I don't use most of it, but yeah, these new cards are actually pretty fun. So
there was a while that we were running Talon in some lists, but that ship has sailed.
Yeah, in Standard he's okay. Like I was running him in all the Demon Hunter stuff. I was playing a lot of Death Rattle Demon Hunter, and he either tutors your Green Rag or he tutors your N'Zoth or whatever, and like that was cool. And then your opponent knows right when to play a Dirty Rat in Mozaki. It's great.
The big blinking red lights that say "Dirty Rat me now,"
right?
Even in Shutterwalk or like Reno Priest, he was seeing a little play there, and I was like, okay, these free cards are kind of coming in handy. Like a couple of them are seeing a little play.
Yeah,
but I was kind of wondering the same thing because I have enjoyed as you guys seen, I'm a golden card aficionado. Playing one class lets you. Spend a little bit more just to craft the niceties of Warlock and everything. But I don't know if I'm gonna have to craft a bunch of these cards. I don't know if I'm gonna have to craft a lot of these cards golden that I've gotten used to all of a sudden, like Talon and Alexstrasza.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. There's still some time, I guess, for them to figure it out. But
I doubt they rotate everything. But at the same time, like that's why I'm saving dust now. Just like starting now, because I'm in the position to do that with my collection. That I can like just bank stuff and just sort of bank nerfs and just I'm waiting to have to like, all right, I want all my old dragons, so I guess I'm gonna make all the new dragons. So
random question, just because I don't collect a lot of cards, and I know this. Sorry, I'm just totally hijacking your.
No, it's great.
As people who collect all the cards for the rest of the classes, like, have you noticed that you've had a easier time maintaining a consistent collection? Like, are you able to save gold and dust for the upcoming expansion over the year, or after the pre-order are you continuously opening packs?
So with both the dupe protection obviously first, but now with the rewards track being rolled out, like I get a full collection on day one of each expansion. Before that would be both pre-orders, and all of the gold that I'd saved up, and then like maybe like another bundle or something like that afterwards, right?
Okay.
Since the new rewards track, I haven't had to spend any other money to get a full collection on day one. It's just been both pre-orders, but pre-orders and gold. And that's been all that's been necessary. Now, if we want to craft golden cards, that may change the calculus a little bit, right? But
I will say, I had a ton of gold, and then they offered those old card backs, and I'd missed some of them, and you couldn't buy them with cash; like you had to use gold, and so that depleted my stockpile a little bit. But
yeah,
it ramps up pretty quickly. It's been, I don't know, it's been pretty good. It hasn't been too bad. What gets tricky is, I think you're in the spot where you're crafting golden Warlock cards, and at least for Sheep and myself, we're in the spot where we're crafting like all kinds of gold cards left and right. It's really expensive. It's probably a bad habit to get into. They're very shiny, and like I love doing it. I can't say that I recommend it.
But Nerf Day feels like Christmas because you just get so much dust, and you can just like gold card here, gold card there. Every class gets a new gold card.
Yeah. Schmoopie, do you do the gold cards?
So what I started doing the wild card method, where I will dust regular versions before I dust gold versions. So I'll have a lot of 1-ups that get filled in.
Okay.
And I really only save like gilding out a deck for like a pet deck that I really, really love. So like, for example, like, yes, I have an old gold secret mage. But even after that, I don't know if you guys remember the wonky like secret mage that came out of China that had like the Conjurer's Callings and the Khadgars. I enjoyed that deck so much I had to gild that thing. So that's all gold. But I typically try to just stick to like randos, and then occasionally when a deck really like strikes my fancy, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna gild this baby. Along the same lines that sort of like Sheep was saying, I'm kind of in the same boat as Sheep, except I've been lucky enough to hit level 400 last rewards track. I hit whatever the cap was in Baron, and before that I think it was like 350 what was that, Darkmoon Fair?
Dude, you're a monster.
If I hit 400 this one, there's an outside chance I could get either this expansion, or I might even just wait until next expansion, whatever. I'm gonna get a whole expansion for free, basically, just based off of the gold, and that's basically just me milking whatever I can get from the Tavern Pass, essentially, and just playing a bunch. So much it's just so much better, the rewards that they offer you now.
They're pretty good. Well, hey, sorry, Sheep, go for it.
Oh, I was going to say that's gold for the next expansion on top of the packs that they throw your way in the interim too. So it pays off pretty quick, which is really, really clutch.
I'm saving packs for the mini set. Like I've got 28 lined up for when the mini set comes out. Some of them are the class specific packs that are really not that good now, but they're great when a mini set comes out. So just banking on those, and then when nerfs hit for the mini set, then it's like you said, Sheep, it's like Christmas.
Well, hey, Daniel, we've got a couple questions for you instead of a normal, thorough interview, but we do have a couple of questions. And so, as a Warlock player, like I've seen you over the years do some really, kind of the more typical Warlock decks, but also some of the more fringe ones, like Malygos, or, geez, I saw you do like a Dragon Q-Block Malygos, like all kinds of funky stuff. Even Lock with dragons in it and all kinds of crazy stuff. Anyways, so question here, do you have any plans to continue revising Mali Warlock now, in the future, when the new expansion comes out, anything like that?
Yeah, 100%. Malygos is still to this day my favorite deck. It's the most fun deck I ever played. It unfortunately hasn't got the right tools with the changes to the format and everything. And I had kind of stopped playing Malygos for Dark Lair because I kind of fell in love with that for a little bit, for a while, which was fine. But it still had its place, and I loved it. I thought Mithril Rod would help, and maybe it was something I was going to look at. That Emperor Thorison Tick on a lot of combo pieces felt enticing, but unfortunately, as I'm sure we'll talk about, the meta just kind of shifted drastically. And the cap for a Hearthstone game has shifted from, we could play N'Zoth, we could play 11, 12 turns and win a game that way. You could play your Gul'Dan, your N'Zoth. Then Reno Priest came back, and it was turn 8, turn 9 was the cap for the Hearthstone game. It pushed Mecha'thun out. I should say Mecha'thun first, and then it pushed the Reno Priest, pushed Mecha'thun. And now with the Demon Seed and Ignite Mage and Spectral Pillager, Rogue, the cap for Hearthstone game is almost turn 7. So it's
Isn't
kind of
it?
unfortunately pushed a lot of Maligo strategies out of the meta. She'll always be, or he'll always be my favorite card. Excuse me. Sorry, I know you guys do a lore episode. It is technically a he, but it feels. I'll always try. I'll always look. It's my favorite. I still have 6 variations of Malagos built in my collection, but I just haven't been able to fully touch it and climb with it the way I used to be able to.
One of these days. One of these days.
I'm really passionate about that deck. I love that deck so much. It's just, I just want to talk about it.
It's good to have like a passion deck. I don't know. I mean, for me, that's Q block. It's never going to go away. And the cards swap in and out sometimes. And like, okay, I can put it on the shelf and not play it for a year because it's not good right now. But someday I will dust it off. And dust is not the right word. Sorry, I didn't mean that, Q block. I will not dust you. I mean,
Nate would never.
I will, polish my golden shiny Q block back up, and one of these days. I mean, it's tricky because Blue Train was kind of, jabbing me about this the other day. Like, I've been loving Pirate Warrior for the last couple months, and like, I tried to force it this month, and it just kept losing like 40% win rate or maybe lower, and it was like, I can force it, but I'm going to be miserable. And like, why bother? Let's just wait until later when it's a little stronger and then revisit it again. So in that vein, is there one severely underplayed Warlock legendary that you would buff if you could? For example, Cho'Gall or Wilfred Fizzlebang or something like that.
So I love this question when you guys sent it to me and I got a little preview of it. Because Cho'Gall was the one that initially came to my mind. Because I love Cho'Gall. His effect is so busted.
I don't even remember. What is it? Your spells cost health instead or something?
Yeah, the next spell you cast this turn costs health instead of mana. And the only problem with Cho'Gall is there's nothing in Warlock that you want to cast that's so expensive that actually does anything. Unless it's like a Kazakus potion or something like that. So, like, Twisting Nether, like, then you just kill your Cho'Gall, like... Then there's Cho'Gall's the one I wish was a little better the most because a lot of Warlock legendaries are pretty good.
We just need to tell Memnarch to add Cho'Gall to his seed lock list.
See, that might be something I might be interested in doing. I'll just pick Cho'Gall and then I'm Spirit Bomb and feel really bad about myself.
Did you hear that he was almost the Warlock hero instead of Gul'Dan?
Really? Yeah. I did not know that.
I don't know. That was one of the ones.
Yeah. I think I
know how I'd feel about that.
I think that was a Ben Brode, like when he was kind of going through some of the old UI stuff. It was pretty crazy.
Well, I'm looking at Cho'Gall now. I have a golden one, if anyone was curious. And he's got some spell action going on with his hands. He feels like he'd be a physical punching brute, but maybe I feel like a lot of Warlock energy there. I can see it.
What's your favorite Warlock portrait or Warlock hero to use?
So I do mix them up a lot. I kind of keep Nemzis for my memes. N'Zoth is kind of my neutral. From all my dragon decks, there's the Gul'Dan with the dragon rod, which feels perfect. Which, I mean, I guess if you see me on ladder, I'm very predictable based on the portrait. I still just use Shadow Gul'Dan though as my like go-to if I'm. It's on my glare list right now.
Nice.
I've got this amount of Warlock wins. It's the only one that feels like I earned it because the thing with the cosmetic boom that Hearthstone did, and this side rant. I hate all the cosmetics. There's so many now. There's too many portraits.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's 5 different versions of Tamsin I'm about to get, and I don't know which one to use. I guess I'll use the best one eventually. But there's a N'Zoth, there's a Nemsy, there's 4 Gul'Dan. When I started Hearthstone, there were 1, and then you got another Gul'Dan that was golden, and that was all you could use.
Right, yeah.
And now they've just flooded the market with all these portraits, and I feel like they've lost the meaning and the individuality behind them. I remember when Mecha Jiraxxus came out, and I was so stoked to finally be able to use a Jiraxxus. Jiraxxus was my guy, and now I legitimately don't have a deck that has Mecha Jiraxxus.
No, big sad.
So
back
many.
in my day.
Well, we were talking
boomer, but I'm curious if anyone else has the same sentiment.
No,
There's just so many portraits now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I don't know if you had a chance to listen. Last week's episode, we had SchmoopieDaddy's wife on, who's brand new Hearthstone player, just started. Okay, get this. First season, she almost hit legend, like from 0, hit what? D1 boss, what do you say, 6 times or something?
6 times. Like we're talking like a top deck. We're talking like a top deck like Wicked Stab away from legend, like twice
in month 1, right? But so we asked her the question though, like I think it was easy for the Hearthstone boomers over here because you knew what you were playing against, and now when you're going up against something and there's 10 different portraits, like it's got to be confusing, right? Like, how do I know which? I mean, I guess you look at the hero power, but like, there's so many different things. It's got to be confusing, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I was teasing GulDaniel a little bit for being a Hearthstone boomer, but whenever I started playing, there was only the one as well, and even to this day, every once in a while, I can't recall exactly which one, but every once in a while, something that I think it's a paladin I'll confuse with a priest or vice versa, right? Like every once in a while they throw me off, and it actually gets me to screw up my mulligan, and it's like, oh no, oops. So even I, who'm very invested in the game, play it all the time, etc., it can throw us off too. So I can only imagine what that's like for like a newer player.
Right. Yeah.
Especially the fire set they came out with. It was like a hunter portrait, a paladin portrait, something else, a druid portrait, and something else. They all
shaman.
legitimately look the same.
Yeah, they look very. Are you sad that there's no fire Gul'Dan?
Honestly, at this point, like I don't care.
Probably not.
There's so many. They lost the individuality to each portrait. They spam them, and
fair enough.
I get why they keep the hero powers the same, because you have to have something that keeps them.
Oh gosh, you need something.
The hero power doesn't fit the character now, so there's a weird like tug of war going on. I feel like there.
That's just an interesting take. I like it. It's like I enjoy the cosmetics, but I also I feel you there, and especially the mercenary ones got me bugging out a little bit. Like Tamsin's cool, but why do I need 3 Tamsin portraits? And like I could
4 Tamsin portraits. They upped it with this one.
They all look good too.
And
like they all look pretty sweet.
And it's
just change his hairstyle.
Or it's like, just give us the random portrait already, so that I can like that would do the trick for me. Because otherwise, like I just I have the one set to my favorite, and I just don't change it. Like I can't be bothered to do it. But anyways, all right. Well, one more question for you. In your opinion, what is the most OP Warlock deck in Wild's history? Now, maybe this is a trick question, because I saw the meme the other day. We were talking about it, of like Mo throwing Barney out of the Simpsons like tavern, and it's always Warlock, right? Like Naga Sea Witch and it's everything. I mean, it goes back to. But what is your hot take on that? And maybe what is the most OP, but also what was your favorite?
So I actually, as of yesterday, I would have said Snip Snap hands down. That would have been my quickest answer. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if like OG Darkglare might have just been too quick for Snip Snap. I just kind of want to raise the question, because I was thinking about like, what if you actually just unnerfed Wild completely? and you really saw what a Warlock v Warlock meta looks like, or Kael'thas may be the truth, and Druid just is the supreme, actually. Because Kael'thas, as we forget, was absolutely busted upon release. That card is insane. But
yeah.
I would say Snip Snap right off the top of my head. I think Lasagna posted a list on Twitter not too long ago that had Baron Trooper, which is basically a mech warper for Snip Snap. Again, with Plague of Flames, just the new cards, Backfire. I think an improved Snip Snap is still the best deck we've ever seen.
It was pretty good. I think what differentiates the two for me is that Snip Snap relied a lot on APM, and then we had people that started like cheating the system, right, where you disable animations or whatever, and you could kind of cheat the game with it. Where like you can't do that with Dark Lair. Like I don't know. Like the deck is not easy to play, and I would co-op with people or say, hey, teach me how to play this, or let's co-op. And the response was always like, I mean, I had this conversation with Daniel, I had this conversation with Mentalistic, and it was like, that's not how this works. Like, you watch us play, and then we will dissect the turns after. Like, you got to move fast, and you have to calculate the mana and calculate the damage, and move quickly. And there's some nuance to it. Like, it's one of those where it feels bad because you're like, oh my god, it's turn 4, what just happened? But if, Joe Hearthstone off the street comes in for the first time and tries this out, like, they're not going to do it right. I mean, there's some exceptions, we have some prodigies, but like, it's not, a good player can make it look easy. So I think it was skill testing for sure. I mean, someone's going to argue that I'm wrong, but like, that's my take on it.
I net decked it back in the day, and when I was still playing like Mech Hunter and like, Murloc Shaman before other Murlocs, and I net decked it and I tried to play it, and I was like,
what is this like garbage?
33% win rate. I'm like, I don't get it. This is S tier. I was playing on mobile, so that was also probably, a detriment.
No, I agree 100% with what you were just saying, Nate and SchmoopieDaddy. I mean, I played a fair amount of Snip Snap, but I can think of like the better Snip Snap players actually won those games, though. I felt they were genuinely like, I watched a lot of Rotted Zombie play. He was very good. And then I firmly believe that Jack was absolutely just on Snip Snap.
Jack is a god gamer. I'll give him that.
Yeah, no, I love Jack. I will talk. Like, I mean, he's an average Dark Lair player. Like, he knows kind of what he's doing, but like, he knew Snip Snap. I'm just messing with Jack. I hope he is. But like, Dark Lair felt like, the best player still wins in these matchups, and Snip Snap still felt like that, and that's kind of why Dark Lair it never reached the crazy play rate heights that we saw Demon Seed reach now. Because it was still like people were put off by those lists. They were like, they didn't know exactly what they were doing. You look at the list and it kind of feels like it's just a bunch of jank just thrown in. You see a bunch of cards you had never seen before: Spirit Bomb, Rain of Fire. Like, what are you actually doing? And it's not easily just put on that, and that kind of changed recently.
I saw a 2/4 hyena on my climb yesterday.
Okay, that is bait.
that was bait.
That is NHL fan trolling 100%. Do not play the Beast seed list. It is a joke.
Oh man. By the way, I was there in the Discord call when the Make Life Tap cost 3 meme was created, and we spent a lot of time on that. It broke my heart a little bit, but it was so funny. It was so funny. Did you have your feelings hurt when you saw that?
I did. I felt personally attacked. I genuinely thought it was funny too, until it kind of grew a hold and other people started saying it and tweeting, and I was like, oh no.
Oh, just wait until
the bad movement.
Just wait until the standard players all latch onto it, and then the devs start taking it seriously.
We've got one hero power that costs 1. Of course, we need one that costs 3.
I mean,
it's just balance.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
As all things should be. Oh my goodness.
Well, mana changes, and they're like, "Wait, is this our opening?"
Jeez.
Speaking of that tweet about mana changes, I said this last night when we recorded with Corbett. Why did everyone get so up in arms about and so excited about this change? It was obviously going to be a standard nerf.
They're always standard nerfs.
Really felt like everyone got very excited and pumped up for Kobold Librarian and Crystallizer and X card and X card, and it was like, no guys, they're gonna touch like Flesh Giant. I thought they were gonna touch free admission. Like,
I did too.
Yeah, that's what we were predicting as well.
Was so pumped for these nerfs and so let down, and I couldn't wrap my mind about it.
It's an unrealistic expectation. Yeah.
Whenever we were talking about it on the show just last week, we were talking about free admission and stuff like that because we were looking at specifically, again, like you said, the standard changes.
Right.
They have, even previously said like, oh yeah, we're looking at it in Wild as well, but there was never kind of any indication that this past nerf was going to be targeted towards Wild yet. Like I'm with you. I don't know why that was kind of the expectation initially. That said, whenever people expected something and then what they got was that, I can see them saying like, oh, well, I expected this to be hit really hard. And then the kind of feeling like, oh, this is going to fix the format when that wasn't the intention with that round of nerfs whatsoever. Right. So I understand the being upset. I don't understand the original expectations.
I think that's a pretty legit nerf. Flesh Giant increased from 0 mana to 1 mana. I mean,
that's way more than double. You can't possibly quantify the increase.
Oh God. Well, hey, let's keep let's move on a little bit. We got a lot to cover tonight, and so I'll go ahead and get started. We typically let's just talk about our week and hey, what do we got going on? What have we been doing over the past week, whether it's in real life or Hearthstone or whatever. And so I'll go first and I'll try to keep it brief. But excited to hang out with you all here. It's been kind of, Sheep and I'd laugh about this every week because it's like, oh, it was a really tough week at work this week. It was, and it was. I'm glad it's Friday. I got up this morning. I've been to the dentist like 4 times in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and it's just trying to get all the stuff done that I've been avoiding for years and finally getting it done. But so they kept telling me, you need to floss your teeth. And so this morning I'm flossing my teeth and my brand new crown just plop like right out of my mouth. And I was like, oh no,
that's not where that belongs.
I was like, wait a minute. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise, maybe. So I went into work and I called the dentist. And they're like, hey, can you come in at 1 o'clock? And I said, yeah, okay. And I'm not going back to work after that. And so I took off work around 12:30, went to the dentist. As it turns out, it took him about 15 minutes to get me numbed up, plop that thing back in. They're like, all right, have a good day. And then I got to come home and take a nap, and it was glorious. So it's a trade-off. It's a trade-off. But so here's what happened, right? Last month I did Day 1 Legend, but it was a Sunday, and so I got up first thing and I was able to just, jam through, and that was fun. And this month, the first, did not fall on a weekend. It fell on a Wednesday, and so I got to work. I don't get home until 6 o'clock. We eat dinner, and I typically will start playing. And I've been streaming my Legend climbs, which is fun, but I won't start until 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. And then all of a sudden it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I got to work at 8 the next day. And that's a little bit of a problem. And so day 1 I played, I got to Diamond 10 and I was like, oh my God, there's a lot of Warlocks. But last night I did it again and I hit Legend on stream and that was really cool. So that was fun. I tried really hard to play Pirate Warrior and it is not good right now. At least in my mind, it didn't work for me. We'll talk about Schmoopies in just a minute, but I tried really hard and I just, it's not fast enough. And so you know, Blue Train was telling me like, you got to switch. He said pry it for my cold dead hands, which is pretty true. And I tried. I was like, well, maybe my version's not working. Let me try Alb's version. Alb is the best. And I tried Alb's version. Like, yeah, this version sucks. Let me try, you know, someone else's. Let me try the Tempo Storm version. Nah, this version sucks. Nah, it's there, and it was like one card different in each deck, right? Anyways, so I switched over. Crag. I played a version with both Crags, which was pretty fun. I don't recommend crafting the other one, but you get a 4/2 parrot with Rush, and that's pretty fun. But having fun and
it's a beast.
You know, there's that argument like, do you want to have fun or do you want to win? And like, well, I'd rather win at this point. So, but I want to play something new. Blue Train taught me how to play this odd quest line Hunter, and it took me a little while. Like it plays like Raza Priest, and like after he kind of explained, and I'll get into it later, but the idea like this is not an aggro deck, this is a control deck, and you need to think about it differently. It's like, oh, and it kind of clicked, and then I hit Legend with it at like 1:30 in the morning, and then I hung out with Glare for another half an hour, doing shenanigans on the ladder, and it was fun. Anyways, it was cool. I like doing it on stream. It's kind of fun. Apparently there's an untapped market where nobody else streams Hearthstone at 1:30 a.m. because they're all sleeping, and in Eastern time, you know, that's 4:30 a.m. And so I had a lot of people watching, and they were all from like EU, where it's like normal time. But it was fun. So I don't know. You know, sorry, what's up?
It's moments like that when you realize how small our community really is.
Oh yeah,
because you'll be on and it'd be like, okay, because we always talk about the rotation of WoW streamers. Like, okay, like you watch Bat Mazel used to be in the morning, and then you switch to Martian, and then you would switch to X, and then Corbett would come on, and Jack would come on, and you would see the same people as you move to each stream and whatnot. And then I was looking at it today, and I was like, damn, like, if Otters wasn't streaming, like, there would be no one in the Wild Hearthstone slot.
Yeah.
And all these people would be just completely lost to the abyss. So if you can kind of find your spot, there is a market there that very much is craving Wild Hearthstone that can, like, fill in.
Yeah, I was surprised, and it was actually got a big raid from Shia, which was nice of him. And then it was really nice because people just stayed. But it's like you said, like they want Wild and nobody's playing Wild. So anyways, I digress, but that was a lot of fun. I was talking about last week, I like to play these like old school kind of point and click adventure games, and so I beat the one that I was playing called Stasis. It was fun. There's a sequel that I started, and then I was wanting to, like, I've been doing a bunch of work in Photoshop and stuff on the side, and wanted to kind of revisit the old Silent Hill games, but I didn't want to actually play them. And so it's like, hey, you can just go on YouTube and like type in the game and like let's play and watch someone else play it. And so I watched someone by the name of Gab Smolders play through Silent Hill 4. I was like, yeah, this is cool. Now I get to experience the game, and I don't have to play it myself. That was fun. And then last week we were talking after the show, Sheep and Hydra and myself, about these different streaming services and what we're watching. And Sheep was saying, oh yeah, Evil's back. Season 2 is back on Paramount Plus. And I was like, oh man, I might have to sign up for Paramount Plus. And we've got, like, there's Disney Plus and Paramount and Netflix and Hulu and all this stuff. And I was like, well, I better check with my wife first just in case. She's like, yeah, we already have it. I was like, oh God, I didn't even know. And so I started rewatching. I was like, well, let me rewatch season 1. I think it's a good show. If you like that sort of thing, you know, it's kind of like Exorcist, scary kind of, but the story's really good. And it stars Luke Cage. I don't know what his real name is, but that guy's awesome.
Oh,
Mike Coulter.
Coulter, yeah, that guy's so cool, man. I'm a big fan. So he does great. He's so great in it. And so you know, if you like that sort of thing, it's a great show. And then you know, this is the birthday show. Tomorrow's my birthday, so officially turning 40. I feel
oh shit,
like, dude, old. Like, my goodness, I'm like, now I can hitting a milestone, I suppose. But I still feel young. My hair is all turning gray, but
you've got one more day to live it up, Nate.
I've got I've got 5 more hours. Make it count. But anyways, yeah, no, man, I'm doing great. I'm just happy to be here. Like, it's a good group of people. I'm happy to hang out with y'all. It's like a highlight of my week every week. So appreciate it. So anyways, yeah, Sheep, what have you been up to this week?
Yeah, this is, of course, the highlight of my week as well, getting to hang out with the buds. So aside from, now, which is, of course, a blast, it was a bit of a busy week. So, of course, work, busy, blah, 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 always going to be the case. But so on Tuesday, I played my Legacy THL match on lunch, which was a blast. Like, it was intense. I actually didn't bring Warlock, and my opponent thought that I did, and so they banned my Warlock. And so I got access to all 4 classes. It was great. It was incredible.
That's the beauty of the Legacy, right? Is that it's all all that stuff is hidden, or closed deck lists or whatever. So
yeah, closed deck list, and the bans don't go on like beforehand. So you do that. What happens for Legacy is you actually queue up into one another, and then you have to do like this little bubble thing, and your ban is in your little picture. And so whenever they banned my Warlock, it popped up and it was like, well, they can't like undo it or anything like that. So that was really funny. I felt for them, but like not enough to give them a free ban outside of that, right? Like, come on. I did feel bad though. So that was pretty fun. And then Wednesday is the night that I play Sea of Thieves with my friends, doing pirate stuff. We did pirate things. Always fun. Last night, the wife and I went to see Shang-Chi, and spoilers, it was incredible. That's the entire spoiler. Yeah. Don't worry. No, this is we're not going to spoil anything like that here. This is not the Marvel recap. GulDaniel, you're all right. Like,
I was a little nervous there for a second.
We were talking before, and GulDaniel's like, I haven't seen it yet. Oh no. So
a bunker or a bubble, can you just give me like a brief overview of what type of movie it is?
So it's a superhero movie.
Some martial arts involved, right?
There martial arts involved, for sure. It's an origin story of sorts, right? Like the first one, and kind of generally is so origin story of this particular hero. I without going into things that might spoil, that's kind of about as much as I kind of want to go down, but it was really good.
But I want to know if there's a Luke Cage crossover and an Iron Fist crossover, because there should be. Don't say anything.
Hit me up after.
I mean,
and I can answer things for sure. But
okay.
I don't want to spoil anyone who.
I appreciate you so much.
I'm gonna try to watch it over the weekend maybe, but I know in the comics, like, they're all homies, right? But like the Netflix universe and the Marvel universe exist in like the same area, but kind of not, but kind of so. Mm-hmm. Anyways, don't spoil it, but
yeah,
I'm excited
and I won't. I'm excited for you to watch it too. I can't wait to talk about that off air so that we don't spoil anyone who wants that. But yeah, it's really good. So the wife and I went to see that last night, and tonight I'm here. Like, it's been hit after hit after hit, action-packed week. Felt like I haven't had a whole lot of time to take a deep breath. But the in-laws are in town this weekend, so that may happen next weekend. The the breather there. So
well, you take what you can get, I guess.
Exactly. Kind of, increase my speed talking about that, because that's kind of how the week felt. Like, it felt like it was just going by. I felt like I was just talking to, Nate yesterday on the show, because that's the kind of week it's been. Here for me.
Yeah, for real.
So that's kind of been my week. How's your week been, GulDaniel?
Oh, it's me next. Okay.
Yeah.
We want to Snoopy next. Okay. My week's been good. The traditional rigmarole with work and whatnot, but I've been really enjoying a lot of Pokemon Unite recently. I streamed some of that the other day. I am a lowly Garchomp main. You know, sorry, my teammates have to carry me to victory a lot of times. But it's my first MOBA. I've been having a ton of fun with that, learning the ins and outs of that, mostly getting yelled at by my teammates. It's actually great because a fair amount of the WoW community seems to be playing it too. So we've been able to get some groups with a couple of people. I don't want to name drop too much, but you know, a lot of the WoW community is playing.
Yeah. No,
it's a really good time. I highly recommend it to anyone, even if they're on their first one. I've been just jamming it mad hard. I was actually a conundrum because normally I do the Hearthstone day 1 climb, and I wasn't able to do that. But I finally had some time to sit down and like, all right, now do my climb. And I was like, wait, do I want to play some Pokemon right now? So,
it's healthy to play other stuff, man. That's great.
Absolutely.
So yeah, good times. And then you said you recorded with Corb.
Oh yeah. And then we did the podcast last night. We had Corbett on. My co-host, she and I were both kind of like, let's get someone on with a little more level-headed, better, more well-spoken, and can really lay out the thoughts that kind of Wild Hearthstone was thinking right now, instead of me just coming on and like yelling at people.
And he's so handsome. I mean,
exactly. I mean, like you look at the cast and you're just like, wow, you know, this is what it feels like to be ugly.
Oh my gosh!
Standing next to this Australian supermodel here, and he's just so smart and handsome, and freaking Shia's got the boyish charm, and I'm over here like, oh.
I think my first introduction to Shia was when he did like the top 10 best looking Hearthstone, like wild Hearthstone players.
Oh, yeah.
And, like that was the first time I met Shia. It was
that is a great intro because he genuinely had a lot of fun with that. It was just making it and everything.
It was so funny. It was good times, man.
No, it's been great. But yeah, that's kind of been my week. I've been playing some Unite, and then I did do some Hearthstone climb. I think I'm just at D10. I just got to Diamond before I went to bed the other night.
Nice. That's kind of what I did.
It is a little late for me playing some Giants Warlock, really just kind of embracing this Warlock meta for what it is.
Hey,
really indulging myself into it. But I've had a pretty good week. Very chill.
Good.
Very relaxing.
Nice. All right, Schmoopie, what about you? What have you been up to, man?
In real life has been kind of nuts. I went back to work the last 3 days doing professional development because we have kids coming back starting next Thursday. So we're basically just tuning up for that, getting used to new technology, couple of, positive thought speakers, which, some people really get something out of, and I don't. So just sort of trying to get us energized for the school year. And I'm like, dude, just like, I don't know. So that was, going back to work was one thing. That'd be busy enough. We started Schmoopie in a 3-year-old program. First day was rough. He's very smart. So like when there's change or there's new things that happen, he's very aware of them. But he's also 3 years old, so he's kind of like a monkey, where his brain freaks out, and he's like I can't handle this, so he starts shrieking and flailing. So we'll work on that. I hear it's a phase. To sort of round off just in real life. Our college roommate came to visit, and actually she's from your state. She's from around Houston. She hasn't taken a vacation in 2 years, so she's shipped herself up to us, and she's been in quarantine basically the entire time. So we're more of a risk to her than she is to us. So we're happy to have her and have her hang out. And I'm actually casting right now from the guest room, so I'm casting right now from her room. So she's going to kick me out for when we do the match later. But that's basically in real life. In real life's been a whirlwind. That happens when you have 2 kids.
Oh yeah.
Hearthstone was sort of equally a whirlwind. I keep pretty busy. I hit level 100 on the rewards track early last week, so now I'm making the real money.
100 already? Jeez Louise, man.
Achievement hunting.
I have every achievement except for the new question mark one. and I do purchase the rewards track because I think it's actually good value for money. If you're someone who's interested in buying packs, like ever, as long as you're sort of like a grinder like me, like you can really milk it. Like I said, I actually hit level 400 the last day of the expansion. Like I'm not kidding. Like Stormwind was dropping at 1 p.m. I hit that morning.
Wow.
So the boost was definitely worth it for me because I just barely got there. So I hit level 100, and I was like, all right, I've gotten here. What do I do next? So I've been so frustrated with the meta that my little Timmy brain wanted to do something that was kind of fun and funny to me. So I started playing Clown Paladin, and mostly I played it to start as just like a joke to tank my MMR, like I always do before the month. I like making my run to D5 quote unquote easier. I put it in quotations because I'm not sure if it's actually easier. The more and more I've done it, the more I've realized that the lower you go on the MMR scale, the more jank you run into, and you really can't play around jank.
Yeah.
Like you see some strange stuff. Like one month, my first match queuing up, I was like, all right, Secret Mage is going to be good into this meta. So not this meta particularly, but just like a couple months ago, I was like, all right, I'm going to start climbing with Secret Mage. And I kid you not, I ran into a control demon hunter that had every form of secret hate available and finished me off with a Nilidari Inquisitor. I'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
And haven't since. And like you can't play around that, right? So like when you're in the jank sea like that, what do? You basically play a strong deck, and you hope that your strong deck basically bull rushes everybody else. But I'm a hipster. I'm not usually playing the tier S stuff. So I'm sort of like, I have limited options as far as what's going to get me out of there. So I don't know if I'm going to do it every month. But anyway, so I started playing Clown Paladin to tank. And lo and behold, you wouldn't believe it, but this meta is actually pretty conducive to a giant stat dump on turn 5 or 6, covered by a 2-mana Lotheb or an Oh My Yogg or something like that. So I've been BMing Seedlocks for about 120 wins to get me my 1k Uther.
I feel fortunate to have witnessed this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There are a lot of opportunities to play Double Conviction when I already had lethal on board, and I was totally doing it. I did not care. I got as high as 1,800. Listen, I'm normally in the Uber dumpster. I'm in the dumpster that like Legend players don't even talk to or mention.
I logged in the other day. And you were like 4,500, and I was like, I didn't know it went that deep.
Fun fact: you can in fact play against Platinum. Once I even played against a gold player while being in Legend because just having fun.
You sweet summer children. Yeah, you have not even plumbed the depths. Did you guys not see how far Zeddy went down? Zeddy was going for all the achievements, not even the ones that gave you experience, all the achievements. He was queuing into Bronze 5 players.
Oh, wow.
His queue times were the same as if he was going for rank 1 Legend because it couldn't figure out who it was supposed to match him with.
That's incredible.
He's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. To whoever I play, I'm sorry, but I'm jamming Dark Glare until I'm at a reasonable rank. And that's what he did. He finished up all his achievements, and then he just started crushing people.
Jeez,
but I'm thinking myself after, I was thinking, well, after I hit Legend, maybe I'll tank down to Gold MMR, and maybe I'll start dodging Seedlocks, because they really go down all the way to Platinum. And it might be janky lists, but even the janky lists, like they still pack a punch if you're not playing, top tier stuff.
Yeah.
So I got my Salt and Pepper Uther. And it was actually disappointing because I did it during that, that weird update they were doing where they were trying to get everybody ready for, switching the menu and stuff. Mm-hmm. A bunch of the notification stuff were screwed up. So I didn't even see my Giant 1000 screenshot. It was so sad.
I screenshotted all of mine. That's so sad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I screenshotted when I had to log out of Hearthstone and log back in, and then I got my Salt and Pepper Uther, and I screenshot that, and I'm like, all right, this is good enough. Yeah. So then, all that was left to do was basically, tank a little more, and then when the reset hit Legend, like I try to do early and quick, so that I can, mess around for the rest of the month. So I hit last night. probably around this time, probably 24 hours ago. Came in at rank 105 with a record of 67 and 46. And Nate, I know you were going to ask me this. I saw 23% seed locks of either Giants or Fatigue lock version. I think the Fatigue lock version was more popular.
That's it? Wow, that's pretty low.
Well, consider this. I probably played maybe 40, 50 games between Bronze Chicken and Diamond 5. So my MMR was smurfed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't playing against the best of the best seedlock players. And we'll talk about it when we get to meta discussion and deck discussion. But I definitely saw a difference in my deck's performance in that section versus later. Maybe not the win rate change, but definitely against seedlock specifically, we can talk about it.
Well, no, I mean, I feel you because I think, I mean, we can get there. But like if you've tanked your MMR sufficiently, it's going to place you against different people. Like, so when I started a free to play, like I switched over to EU and like had never laddered ever in EU, created like basically like the Reaver Ryan Paladin. But I did the version from the Tempo Storm, like it was like the good version, right? And I hit my, that 12 win achievement without even trying, like, because it was placing me against new players and people are running like Yetis and, whatever else, these vanilla lists, and I was just steamrolling people. I was like, oh man, if I could climb like this all the time, like no bonus stars, but if I could climb like this every time, piece of cake. Like I watch Shia do it every other day, right? I'll just create a new Smurf account and hit legend in a couple hours, and it's like, oh my goodness.
I didn't go that low. I only went about Diamond 10 at the end of the month MMR, which you imagine is an above average player, somebody who knows what they're doing. I have gone as low as like Platinum 5, Platinum 10, and even then, then you're really swimming in the jank sea, and you're not sure what you're seeing. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it the same way every month because I don't know if I'm really getting that much of a benefit from it. Maybe I am because I'm seeing less seed lock. But the thing is like once you hit Diamond 5, once you hit Diamond 5, that's about half your climb.
Yeah.
Like just getting to Diamond 5 is half your climb. And then a little bit more than half my climb was basically getting from Diamond 5 to Legend. And I get to Diamond 5 so quick, I'm matched up against, I watch enough Keith numbers to know who's playing in top 200 Legend and who's queuing up against him. And those are the people I'm trying to beat to get to Legend at the time. So it's actually, I kind of enjoy the speed climb because for a brief period of time, I get to feel like I'm competing at the highest level. Like that kind of climbing is actually how GulDaniel, I think we've met on ladder. I had you on my friends list. I added you because I thought your name was cool.
Nice.
And then
that's flattering.
and then later, the Hearthstoners were my gateway drug into Hearthstone podcasts, and it was like, oh man, wait, are you that GulDaniel? And that was my first experience of how small the wild community was, right? It's like, oh yeah, this is actually the same. This is the same guy. So that's my typical. I don't want to make it sound like, oh yeah, I beat up a bunch of noobs and I get the legend super quick. It's not really that simple because the second half is really where you make the hay.
Yeah,
100% for sure. That second half is a whole new. Once you hit D5, it's a whole new retrend. Except for the 11xers, that's it's still a cheat code. But I think
it is
what Nate was saying about the new accounts, the accounts that haven't played against a lot of people. I did that on Asia a couple months ago. I finally just booted up an Asia account, got Dark Lair, 2 straight months in a row, best finishes ever, top 25 finishes.
Wow.
Just hands down. But it felt so cheap.
Yeah.
I went 110, 115 in 10.
Wow.
I was beating up on people. I was beating up on warrior bots and druids that were playing, the mana crypt person that, adjust mana and stuff. It was weird. It didn't feel appropriate, and I've kind of maintained ever since I got that legend. I was just maybe there should be a 6-month grace period before you're allowed to be on leaderboard, because you see, I've seen multiple posts, and I think it was the first one Ghosty put in. He was rank 2 legend with X Demon Hunter list. And it was like, yeah, because you beat up on a gazillion trash players. And like I know Ghosty, so I can say that it's fine. But I felt the exact same way, beating up on just a bunch of people, and it felt awesome. I felt great doing it, fantastic. but my legend rank, it was the highest one I ever got, and I felt kind of invalidated and cheap. And I'm starting to see more and more people do that kind of thing, and it's like, legend rank 15 with the free to play list of this, and this, and it's like, well, you're a good player.
Well,
I know you can do that. It's okay, and I see people getting kind of like baited or just kind of like it feels more for the clout than anything.
You can work the system too, though. Like, okay, I'm not proud of this, but here's what happened last month, right? I hit day 1 legend with Pirate Warrior. I came in at rank 33, and I did not touch Wild Ladder the rest of the month. Finished at 300. Like, that was just decay. It was 330. Mm-hmm. It was rank 330 is where I finished. Cool, 11x. Like, I didn't earn that. Like, not at all. But I was afraid to, like, the meta got so funky that, like, I was nervous that I was going to, like, destroy my MMR. And so I played a bunch of other stuff. I played a bunch of duels. I found out that casual duels wins count towards your 500 and 1k, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Okay. This is wild adjacent, and I can jam some Demon Hunter and whatever else and like make some kind of fun things, and then I played a bunch of...
They also count for achievements.
Yeah. So I played a bunch of duels, but like you can... I mean, that's how the system is, and the 11x is completely a cheat. I wouldn't have done it last night. I wasn't going to, but then I saw that Schmoopie did it, and I was like, well, now I got to do it. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that's what happened. I'm looking at the clock, and I'm like, oh, it's still early, you know, it's 11 p.m. That's like, okay, it's midnight, like that's normal for me. And then it's like it's 1 o'clock, I'm like, it's getting late. And then it's 1:30. I'm like, I'm so close. Like I just with the stars, it's like, well, I'm already ranked 2. I may as well just do this. And I was streaming, and then I was about to turn it off, and then I don't know, you know, you get raids, or it's, you know, normal time over in EU and people are looking for wild. And so like the trick is if you want to stream wild, then you put like wild in the brackets before your stream title so people know it's wild, and like they'll watch your thing, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to go to bed. And there's like 50 people watching. I'm like, well, I'll let everybody down when I'm D2. Like, I only need to win 2 more games that I'm gonna get there. But like the 11x is a total cheat.
11x needs to go.
I like it, but you
have it now. But the thing is, when you just said you just spent an entire month playing duels, you played other modes, you were doing other stuff. But why was that?
Yeah, because I didn't want to lose the 11x. That's why.
Exactly. 11x actually discourages those who have 11x from playing wild.
It does.
Because we're so afraid of losing. It's such a big advantage.
It's a huge
on that day
advantage.
1 climb, just getting through. And even still, like, I know WoW doesn't have a lot of, like, you know, there's no perks to winning in WoW or getting high legend. But you still want to get through the climb and just hit legend. You want to get there.
It's fun to be on the leaderboard. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
And when you have 11x, it's a one-way ticket straight to the leaderboard, and everyone else in 10x has to claw their way to try to reach you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no penalty for sitting down. There's no penalty for sitting out. You're an 11x gamer, and it's actively... I know, for at least for me, it's impacted the decks I play, the decks I want to play. We had the question about playing Malygos Lock. I played a ton of Malygos Lock in casual. As soon as I go to ranked, it's Darkglare.
You can't. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm just too paranoid of losing just that quick, easy one-way ticket to leaderboard that it's way too overpowering. I would love to just get rid of 11x, put us all in 10x, put us all together, and just kind of re-rank the ladder system, because I do a lot of those day 1 climbs, and even with 10x, you can beat everyone to D5. You can beat people to D3, and then when you get there, it's soul crushing to just watch them. Just their losses don't matter. My losses don't matter when I have 11x. until I hit legend.
You get two because you get 2 stars. Like you get 2 final bosses without, like you can win streak into legend. I mean, there's no punish at all. It feels like cheating. Now, what was crazy to me, I mean, I feel like I can say this because now this is my 3rd month in a row of 11x, but like I got so perturbed when I was watching my friends streak into legend with like 40% win rates, and I was like, you are losing more than you're winning, and you're getting legend before me. I hate you. Like, it was just crazy. And now I see it, and it is normal. Like, I don't know. I mean, you get like a 52, 53% win rate, and you're like doing pretty good. I think last night I was like 57% win rate. I was like, wow, rock and roll. Oh my goodness. But I'm watching like even now though, my like all that losing with Pirate Warrior, like I'm watching my rank slide quicker than it did last month. Cause like I entered in last night at 83 or something like that, and I'm already over 100.
Yeah, you're lower down the bell curve than you were last month.
Yeah.
That's how that happens. That's people just entering in a little bit above you.
That makes me paranoid. I might actually have to play more.
Listen, I'll welcome you back into the 10x for life club if you want. Like, I am the sitting president.
Do not want. No.
Yeah, so I've gone in and out of having 11x myself, and I will say, whenever I went to it, it was like, it felt nice. It was the climb was easy. Though I will say also the one time that I hit day 1 legend was with 10x, which felt pretty cool that I did it without the 11. But I digress.
Brush it off.
That's cheap. How high did you come in?
41, I think. Nice.
Time. Wow.
The highest I've ever come in with 10x was like 25, and then I think I did 27 the next month. I've never come close since. I don't know how I did it. I had Secret Mage in a good meta. I think it was a sleeper in like Ashes.
Mm-hmm. But the moral of the story is, I would rather play the game than worry about kind of like the easier climb, and so that's what kind of had me break out of the 11x rut almost, because rather than being more concerned about keeping the 11x, I was more, hey, I want to play the game, and I could play casual if I wanted to, or duels or whatnot, but I just wanted to play, so I jammed some achievement decks and decided to see how many legend points I could acquire, right? And that was fun. And at the end of the day, if you're having fun, that's what really matters. Though getting quick legend and easier legend is obviously rewarding in and of itself as well. So there's nothing against that either. But for the way that I approach the game, having fun and engaging with it more was a little bit more my style.
I think that's wise. All right, well, let's move along. It's been an hour, and we've got a lot of news to cover this week. So, Sheep, I'm going to pass it over to you to chat about This Week in the Listener series, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. So, this week in the Listener series, our challenge is called Short and Tall, and was proposed to us by last season's runner-up, MaxiBon1234. So, Short and Tall. What is the short and tall of that challenge? So minions in this challenge can only cost 0, 1, 2, the short, 8, or 9, the tall. So short, 0, 1, 2, tall, 8, 9. You have to also have at least 3 minions at each mana cost.
Love it.
So obviously, do the math, 3 times 5, you have to have at least 15 minions in your deck. So at least half your deck has to be short and tall minions.
Nice.
Outside of that, again, you can't have any minions that are at alternate mana costs, but hero cards, spells, weapons of any variety are allowed. So got a whole lot of options to choose from outside of the minions. And afterwards, we get to spectate a match. Well, It's me against Kay, so I won't be casting it this go around. But Nate, GulDaniel, and Schmoopie get to watch us try and get the short and tall of each other in that series.
Yeah, so that'll be a blast. I mean, I don't. We've got a lot to cover tonight, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But it'll be a lot of fun, and I think just the idea of playing some semi-competitive games that are not necessarily your meta decks, and so we get to see a bunch of fun things here that you wouldn't normally see on ladder. So I'm really excited for it. So best of luck to you, best of luck to Kay, and we'll see how things play out. So yeah, exciting.
Excitement abounds. And if you were watching or listening to this after the fact, you'll be able to catch that game on YouTube afterwards. And if you're watching us live, then stick around and we will spec it out then.
Awesome. Rock and roll. All right, well, let's pass over to the news, because there's kind of a lot of stuff and not necessarily news, but there's a handful of things. And so I want to touch on it super briefly. The Mercenaries big reveal thing was this past week. It was on the 31st, which was Tuesday, so 3 days ago. There was this reveal stream or whatever that they did on Twitch, and it was really interesting. I've seen a lot of hot takes kind of all over the place. We're a wild show, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. For me, it looks interesting. Honestly, it looks like Pokemon is kind of what I think it looks like, because you get your minions and they have to fight your opponent's minions, and you buff them up and you build a whatever. But the execution felt kind of funky, like where I think, well, our good buddy Ridiculous Hat wrote a pretty good article about it for PC Gamer, which is good. Where the Hearthstone community in general, they love their torches and pitchforks, and what I think that Hearthstone did that was a mistake was it was like drinking water from a fire hose. It was just like so much information. I think someone put it really well that it's like, hey, you can tell these folks have been working on this game for months and months and months, and they're like, super deep into it. I think it was Corb, actually. Oh, look at that. He's got his sword. All right.
That's Wild Hearthstone, always.
Always
on edge.
Always. That's very edgy. I love it. But yeah, I mean, what we saw was like, I think it was Corb who said like, hey, we're trying to learn the alphabet, and they gave us Shakespeare, and it was just like, it was so much information that it was like, well, this is overkill. And really all I wanted to see was like some demo gameplay. That would have been enough. But what really tipped it, I think, for everybody was like, there's a bunch of information that nobody understands. There's no demo gameplay, but you can go spend $120 in the shop to get all the pre-order stuff. But you can't use it for a month and a half.
It was bad optics at the very least, for sure.
But Diablo. And so I mean, personally, I'm excited for it. I think it'll be cool. The messaging, like the optics were poor. The game mode looks fun, at least to me. But it, the approach could have been better. Typically, like, they make cool stuff. Like, I think it's going to be good, but you never know. Like, Duels is kind of a flop, so whatever. But
I'm initially pretty skeptical on the Mercenaries thing. Like, I really, like you said, I really would have loved some actual gameplay instead of seeing like maybe one minion hit into each other, and then maybe some explanation as to why we're actually paying for this mode and why we need to buy a bunch of card packs. Because I don't know, I kind of felt the sentiment like, if I was a new player and I hop into this thing and I haven't seen the direct, and I say, ooh, sweet, like there's a bunch of bundles with this cool character and a Lich King and blah 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 blah, like maybe I'm tempted to buy it, because everything I've known is just regular old card packs. I don't know. Duels seemed, I mean, Mercenaries. Sorry, I was comparing it to Duels already. It seemed like Duels.
Yeah.
I want to have high expectations, but You compared it to Pokemon just a second ago, and I felt like Pokemon without the endearing charm that makes each individual Pokemon awesome to you. So I'm confused.
I mean, I do think so. It launches in about a month and a half. I do think that we will get gameplay. Like, we'll get more before then. So we'll see. I mean,
they've released some. I don't know if it was release or leak, but like some kind of like walkthrough tutorial type stuff. You know, not official or concluding. You know, sound design and stuff like that. But you can kind of see the gameplay and stuff like that. And it, I'm cautiously optimistic. I think that it looks kind of cool, but also it doesn't look like it's going to be for everyone. And it's very different from, you know, a card game, right? Because it's 6 minions-ish, 6 heroes, 6 mercenaries, right? That you bring in, and it scratches a different itch than the card games that, you know, we've been playing. And more than anything else, the reveal stream was just like, we didn't see any of the gameplay. We didn't see any of the interactions. They were talking a lot about stuff that we haven't seen yet at that point. So having read a lot more of, you know, all of the stuff that they put out and seen, you know, either leaks or releases, I'm not sure which, because it never seems official, gameplay of it, I'm cautiously optimistic, and I think I'm going to have fun, but they didn't have any of that in the reveal stream. Yeah. So why would other people be excited about it if they have to hunt and look for that information when that's what should have been the reveal to begin with?
I saw a meme that pretty much perfectly encapsulated where like Mercenaries and Hearthstone seems to fit in right now, and they took the new screen that they just shuffled up, and like, you know, they switched play and they put Hearthstone in, and, you know, they moved solo adventures down to modes, which I saw Goliath the dwarf was kind of bummed about because he loves solo adventures so much. There's so much lore in there.
There's so much fun.
And the meme was basically
like Yu-Gi-Oh and auto chess and all that.
The meme was instead of Hearthstone it says Yu-Gi-Oh. Instead of which, if you don't understand, like, Yu-Gi-Oh basically has devolved into like just a giant like combo or hyper aggro meta. Battlegrounds was replaced with auto chess. Mercenaries was replaced with Raid Shadow Legends, and modes was the same. But like, that was kind of like that was kind of the sentiment that I kind of got, was like, this seems like a giant. It seems like they want a lot of money up front for this, and like nobody understands what they're buying. And like Corbett like really did put it like best in his tweet, which was essentially saying like he didn't have an opinion on whether or not Mercenaries is going to be, you know, good or bad. But the reveal stream that they had basically was written by people who clearly have been absorbed with the material for, you know, months and months and months and months, and didn't have any perspective on how to introduce it to a new audience. So the new audience was really confused, and I think in some cases a little offended why we were expected to pay so much money for a product that we don't even understand. Like, it's just sort of off-putting.
Yeah.
Well, and I think another kind of odd and kind of off-putting thing as well, as you phrased, is that the price tag associated with all of that, it seems like, oh, hey, you have to pay this. But the thing is, even the pre-ordered like portraits and whatnot that come with it are not exclusive to the bundles. So, which they didn't do a very good job of explaining either. So if you pre-order it, you can still, if you don't pre-order it rather, you can still eventually get those if you end up playing the mode and liking it. But they didn't kind of explain all of that very well. They just wanted to put the price tag and you can buy something, more than the like, hey, here's why you would want to buy that. And I'm not sure kind of where that went down, but every single kind of step along the reveal seems like it was fumbled a little bit, to say the least.
Yeah, I feel you there. Well,
I'm one thing. This was the first time that Hearthstone truly felt like a mobile game. Like every single time I felt like it was a PC mobile amalgamation where it wasn't really like just trying to grab my money right off the gate. This was the first time I was just like, wait, what are we doing anymore? Like, what is the focus on this? Like, it felt a little money driven, and then with Electric Sheep just telling me that we can get this Diamond Diablo character that's not even an exclusive, it kind of just like, wait, why am I actually pre-ordering a bunch of this stuff until I've actually tried this out?
And I think at the end of the day, it's to kind of keep people from feeling like they need to pre-order it, but then either marketing or something down the line was like, well, we shouldn't tell people that. We shouldn't advertise that because we want people to pay the money for it. So I think it's kind of a little disconnect between the devs who are putting it together, who, from everything that I've actually seen from the either leaked or not as official or whatever gameplay, it looks like fun, but no one's seen a reason why they would want to spend the money without doing some pretty intense hunting to find it.
Aren't they like matching you up too based on like isn't there like an MMR system too? So like if you've paid a certain amount of money to get into the mode, you're matched up with other people. Is that like, that's another confusing thing. Like that's like a rumor that I just sort of picked up from just sort of coming in halfway through the stream. It's like, oh yeah, I can get free packs. Like people just sort of shooting off in Discord. That's just like, yeah, it's like how are you even matched up in the PvP mode? Or like,
and from what I've seen and from what I can recall reading, and I don't recall if this was from the official one or from a lot of the other items that I've gone into, it is slightly based off of your collection and slightly based off of your like PvP matchmaking. How accurate that is, whether or not that'll be retooled, etc., kind of is yet to be seen. And if that's just something that I saw that people were speculating on, because I've read a lot of mercenaries stuff because I've searched for it because I want to know what it is.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of speculation. So I don't know. I'm a little reluctant to like guess too much until we see. But I don't know. I'll spend the weekend kind of reviewing. I heard that Regis Kilbin did some pretty good videos on it. Dawn, Dragon Rider, has done some videos on it that I really would like to watch that I've not had a chance to yet. And so I would recommend, kind of checking those things out. I'm really excited for the mode, but like, then again, I'm a sucker for all the art stuff, and so I see it and it looks shiny and it looks cute and it looks pretty. And like, I always hear that, Kobold, whatever, ooh, new shinies. And like, that's me. And so, is it going to be good? I don't know. The optics are bad, but anyways, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's just another game mode for us to play, and I guess we can speculate a little bit more as we know a little bit more. I guess we'll see. I do want to get into some other news things we had. So this week in particularly Wild Hearthstone was interesting. We had some explosive Twitter reactions. You'll notice I took the name off of this. But so essentially what we saw, so TLDR, Wild Hearthstone players have been frustrated about this meta being so dominated by Warlock, or the class in general being fine-tuned, that it was feeling oppressive. And then I think they got sort of debated a little bit by the devs saying like, oh, we're nerfing Warlock. And kind of, as we alluded to earlier, I think, and this is my opinion, okay, but like, I think that the bulk of Wild Hearthstone players latched on to that with these unrealistic expectations based on their hopes and desires, and not on, anything very realistic. And so when the nerfs got revealed, it was like, that is not what I want. I'm not happy with it. That's not enough. And then it's like you go through these stages of grief, right? The first is denial, and then it's anger, and then it's, you know, whatever it is. And so first it's like, what? Wait, what? Like flesh giant to 10? Like, are you joking me? Like that's your nerve.
It's the same picture.
It's the same picture, right? And then the next step was like, nobody cares about us. The devs don't care. Everybody hates us, and you're all terrible. And then the standard players came out and basically said, like, you know, you guys are a big joke, and all the wild players are terrible, and just wait until they announce another wild open, and it's all the people that are at the top are all the standard players that just played wild for that 1 month just so that they could win some money. And it was like, oh my god. And then the wild players saying like, hey, you shouldn't have an opinion on wild if you don't play the format. And it was like, wow, we saw the claws come out from like all sides. It was crazy. I tried, like, I wanted to respond, and I was like, nah, I better not do that. And I wanted to respond, and I was like, I'm gonna regret this. And saw some spicy hot takes over the week, primarily from standard players. I mean, there's a couple of outspoken wild players who, I don't know, are very vocal. Sometimes I think that may be to the detriment of the rest of us. I think that I liked what Hazer had to say. But it was just this whole thing, like watching this all unfold over the week, and I was like, oh my god, like what is happening right now? Was pretty crazy, and watch this like whole community sort of catch on fire over the first 2/3 of this week, and then and then I thought about weighing in on this, and then I was like, well, I'm just going to sit on this, and I'm going to hold on to my thoughts, and we'll talk about it on the show. And before I got a chance to even really phrase my thoughts more eloquently on things, then, of course, Alex sends out this tweet that essentially says, well, I'll just read it, that the next full patch was created specifically for balance changes, talking about many things, nerfs and buffs. Approach to wild is act in extreme cases, the current case probably clearing that bar. And so that was like, I mean, what did you all expect? Like, they nerf for standard, that's how it works. And they've said time and time again that wild is not going to be a curated format. That being said, they step in from time to time when there's an outlier. And that Monty Python, I think it was Derek Brown that put the text over the Monty Python clip.
Oh, that was bad.
It was so funny. It was so funny. I mean, I laughed and I laughed and a lot of people got angry about it, but it was so funny because it was like, the devs don't care about wild. Oh, but what about Snip Snap? Oh, well, beside from Snip Snap, but they don't care about wild. Oh, well, what about Dark Lair nerf or Darkest Hour? And it's like they hit something when there's a need to. It's entertaining to me that it's always Warlock. It's not always Warlock. Someone then mentioned like Quest Mage got hit, but anyways.
Quest Mage got hit? Wait, what was the nerf for Quest
a
Mage?
while ago, not recently, but it was one of
2 additional spells to open the Waygate.
Yeah. While the quest was already.
Quest Mage got nerfed.
not right. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Right.
It took me a second.
That's really funny. That's really funny. And then Cora had a follow up, which this is the one that really kind of struck home for me. She goes, in quotes, it says, approach to wild is act in extreme cases, current case probably clearing that bar. And then she says, just because we don't make statements every day regarding our actions or intentions doesn't mean things aren't happening behind the scenes, which it makes total sense to me. Like, I work in management, and it's like, I do a lot of project management, I do a lot of politics, I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and we're always working on 10 different things, or I'm always working on 100 different things, and like, we don't always communicate those, or sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we share more when it's like just about to launch, or when it's almost ready, or a progress update, or So if, in my mind, it's like, well, we should be happy that they're sharing anything with us because we're in a better place now than we were a few years ago when they didn't share anything at all. And now Dean's doing an AMA every week, you know, and Celestalon is on Twitter, very active. It answers questions all the time. Core is the same way. Alec is the same way. Like, we've got more access now than we ever did before. And so her point of like, hey, look, just because we didn't say we were doing something doesn't mean that we're not doing something. We just haven't got around to telling you what it is yet. So chill out. And
real quick, while we're talking about devs engaging with not just the community, but also the format, how many devs play Wild? How many devs play Wild at a pretty high level? Matt London is what, rank 1 the other day? Rank 2, like
he
single
was
digits.
He was ranked
single digits at least.
The screenshot, like he was rank 4 legend.
Rank 4. That was it.
And this was his first time playing legend or playing Wild. He said he had crafted this stuff. He made aggro priest.
Back to my point earlier about Wild players beating up on bad players. He is playing a different Wild than what we are playing.
That is true.
That's my one point. All right.
That's true. That is true. I will say, though, it does make me happy that we do have devs that play Wild, particularly Ixar, because he's kind of, I mean, one of the top dogs, I would assume, or at least in a position that's pretty high up the food chain. And so he does his weekly AMAs, and he got asked this week. One of the questions was from Bane, who coincidentally I'm playing in our listener series this weekend. Had asked him, "Hey, are you still playing Wild? What's your thoughts on the current meta?" And Dean's response, he said, "I played Galakron Shaman to Legend last season, and I'll probably do the same this season. Opinion on current meta is the population of Warlock is too high, limits the range of experiences I could be having." And then the follow-up response to that is, he says, "In terms of what the deck does, I wouldn't consider it out of line, just too consistently powerful. Haven't talked direct changes with Alec yet, other than that we should figure out something. I don't work directly with that team, so it's possible the decision has already been made." And it's also a good reminder, I think, for us that, like, the general public doesn't know the internal structure of the Hearthstone teams. And so what Ixar is doing, like he had mentioned somewhere along the lines, he's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, that's an esports thing. Go talk to this person. Oh, balance stuff? Well, that's Alec. Go talk to him. He's like, I've been spending all of my time working on mercenaries. And so different people do different things. And I think that there's sort of these kind of unrealistic expectations that, and I don't know, like my grandma always told me, like, you get more with honey than you do with vinegar. And so when I see people go on Twitter and like start yelling at the devs, and maybe that's the wrong word, but like when you go on there and you poke at them and you jab them and you say, how are you so stupid, how are you so blind, like how did you miss this, you don't care about us at all, your game is trash. Like, you think that makes them want to help you? Like, no, please stop. And so, you know,
and that's not to say that constructive criticism isn't still good. Case in point, we were just talking about how terrible the Mercenaries reveal was.
Oh yeah, no, I think there's definitely constructive feedback is great, and it just needs to be a little bit
constructive.
Yeah, have a little bit of kindness. I have seen Keith Numbers has done an excellent job several times in the past of writing down like good responses to you know, the state of things, and offered possible solutions, and really frame things in a thoughtful manner. You know, feedback is good, but so is being nice. Demon Seed is crazy. I'm still laughing because we rated it poor. GulDaniel, like we did the Shibo thing together, and like you rated it the same as I did. Like, kind of.
Oh, hold on, wait.
Sweating over that now,
right?
I don't remember, but it wasn't nearly as.
No, it wasn't.
We thought it wasn't going to be good enough.
No, I thought it was too slow. Because previously in WoW, taking a turn off to play a quest was like, what are you doing? You've lost the game already. It completely shifted how we thought about turn one in general. But I I would like to like go on the record and say Jordan gaslit the crap out of me. I rated it 3 stars, and he put on Twitter I rated it 1 star, and that was a fantastic Photoshop job. And the thing was, I believed him. I couldn't remember. I was like, I mean, I guess I did. Like, if that's what happened, like, I'm sorry.
God,
like,
that's so funny.
So, I in fact did say it was potential. I just want to put it on the record.
That's really funny. And I don't think, I mean, it is what it is. What would really be crazy is if they completely uncurated the format, like just reverted every single nerf they've ever done. Naga is back, Dark Lair is back, but like that would probably be bad, right? And so I mean, there's one final. There's 2 final things. One from Dean specifically about. So someone said, named Chaos, says, what cards are you looking at for Wild Warlock? Any chance Crystallizer could be reworked to convert health like Thakal so it doesn't work with the quest line? Dean said, well, look at the high win rate suspects. Crystallizer was brought up by Gallon as something high on the list. Rework would be nice. And then Chaos said rework would be nice so the other heal-oriented decks can make use of both Crystallizers if they're drawn early. Crystallizer, I crafted that in gold, and that sucked. I mean, like, this is a card that has been trashed here for years. And now it's like one of the most busted cards. I don't know. It's interesting to me. You were talking about lore a second ago, and it was like the idea of Warlock like spending health to get some crazy reward. Like, that's awesome. It's the spending armor that kills me, and it's interesting. I mean, it is what it is. I think that having like this Ixar experience, like, he's playing Galakron Shaman. Like, he's going to lose to all the Warlocks too. Like, don't worry, it'll get touched. I don't know. The last thing that I have here, since I'm on the Dean thing, is where he mentioned that buffs. And so someone asked him, have you considered making the Juggernaut reward from the Warrior questline trigger at the end of your turn instead of the beginning so that it has some immediate impact on the board? And Dean said, considering buffs this week, can't comment on what the team is thinking until we have that meeting. Now, I'm not holding out hope for this Juggernaut quest, okay? But, like, what I latched on to is he said, hey, we're talking about buffs this week. I was like, oh, heck yeah. Like,
that potential one in particular is a double-edged sword because, oh, cool, a couple of pew-pews go off, but also, oh no, I got Curse Blade, and all of a sudden I'm dead and can't play an Azos first mate to get around it. Like, oops.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. The thing is, we walk such a fine line here. Like, there's always going to be the most hated thing, and what is the acceptable level of it? Where it killed me a little bit is that, and I love Warlock, it's my favorite class, but like, when I'm facing 50% Warlock, that's a little much. But there's always going to be the most hated thing. And so there's such a fine balance here that what happens when they buff the Juggernaut quest and now I'm seeing 50% Pirate Warrior. I'm like, okay, nothing has changed. It's a different suspect, but the same problem. And nobody wants that either. I mean, the funny thing is that it's always Warlock, right? I mean, it's always Warlock, but... But not really. I mean, it's been Paladin. It's been Priest. You know, it typically is the Cabal classes, right? So,
I've heard Blue Train speak to this though, where like the pirate, questline Pirate Warrior definitely has like the makings of a meta tyrant. If let's say you delete Seedlock somehow, what's the next best deck? And like the two that come to mind are questline Pirate Warrior or questline Odd Hunter. But I think both of those decks you can actually tech for them. Like, all of a sudden, if you can run Gorlaka Crawler, you run Gorlaka Crawler. And it might be like, okay, the quest line has an inevitability to it, but there's still a big loss of tempo when you throw down Rokara. Unless, again, like you said, they buff the Juggernaut, so you get 2 pew-pews. But like Sheep said, I'm not convinced, like, I print a Charge Pirate and I can't attack with my Charge Pirate. Like, I'm not convinced that that's a buff. And with Odd Hunter, like, okay, so the meta slows down a little bit, we all run Skulking Geist, and now that's not a big deal anymore. So
or even like the Bonk Druid, right? You get so much armor, like you just can't chip through it.
Bonk Druid is a hunter's a free win. So I think the other big bads that might pop up are a little bit more techable. Whereas I know like the Fatigue Seed Lock, like it can play so defensive that they're literally never in danger. And if they are, they can get out of it. And I've seen them go from 2 health to 28 in a turn. Like, not even kidding. Like, just through Armor Benders and Touch of the Nazareth and just other stuff. So, I think it's... Yeah, you're right. There's always going to be a best deck, but I think there's best decks you can beat, and there's S-tier best decks. And what we're dealing with right now is an S-tier best deck.
Well, let me ask GulDaniel, like, as a Warlock main, what is your thought on this? Because... and I guess, I mean, we'll jump to it in a minute, I guess. We'll get to it in a minute, I suppose. But, like, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on... Like, you'd be playing this deck regardless of whether it was good or not good, probably, right?
100%.
And is it frustrating to you to be playing against all these other Warlocks?
So, one of my favorite things about playing Warlock was always the actual Warlock mirror. I... Kind of like you, Nate, one of my first loves was Q-Block, and I felt like that mirror with the Mountain Giant standard version was very exciting. It benefited the better player every single time, and I kind of felt that way up until this recent expansion, even with Dark Lair. I remember having several games with Tiger Eye, who's now in the Discord, so I feel fine shouting him out. That were very exciting games, games where I was on the edge of my seat. I didn't know who was going to win. Even if I felt like I popped off, he was going to pop off, and we were going to fight for board. We were going to have this very intricate battle of who was the better player at the time. And Seedlock is the first time in a Warlock mirror that I haven't felt overwhelmingly favored. I've played gazillion games of Warlock, and every single time I see a Warlock, I chalk it up as a win. 100%. I am 90-10 Warlock. If I do not win a Warlock game, then I've done something wrong in the game. And Seedlock is the first deck where I felt like I'm 55-45. I'm maybe barely favored because of the experience that I have playing the class and the cards. It's honestly, I hate Seedlock. I genuinely hate and despise the meta it's created. I enjoyed Dark Lair. I loved every minute of playing those decks. Pen Flinger before the nerf. I felt like I could outplay my opponent even if I didn't draw right.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the first meta, and maybe it's because the win condition starts in your hand. You play Seed on 1, the mulligan is 2 cards easier, or 2 to 3 cards easier. But I genuinely haven't had the same love for the meta, and I feel like a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're a Warlock main. You're gonna love it. You're having a great time." It's like, no, I haven't felt the same advantages that I would have had as a Warlock main in this current meta, and it's kind of created like a really sour taste in my own mouth, past everyone else has, and I've actually quite despised the Seed in general.
Wow.
GulDaniel, can I ask you, have you seen like names that you necessarily don't really recognize that might be usurping people that you'd normally be playing with? And the only reason why I'm asking that is because last month it was really interesting. I got in the Barons meta. Like, I climbed to Legend Day 2, and the expansion launched essentially Day 3. So I got to kind of like watch like big name players on my friends list that would normally be in Legend already, struggle. So have you seen a lot of new names that you maybe not have recognized doing like Seedlock mirrors?
No, 100%. And I think actually just a lot of the big names are kind of feeling how I felt, that they don't have quite the advantage of being maybe I mean, I'm not. I play leaderboard. I'm not necessarily top 100, top 50, top 25. I don't get first page, but I'm solidly leaderboard. I'll be able to say that. Like, but I've noticed a lot of these same players around my elk or even at higher levels have felt that they don't have the same control over a game.
Yeah,
and it's caused them to step away or step back. So a lot of new names have been filling in on the spot. And I think it's hilarious that we were talking about Pirate Warrior because I introduced my ex to Hearthstone a long time ago, and she hit me up and she was like, hey, I need a new list. She had been playing Secret Mage. So I shot her a Pirate Warrior list, and she had never played ladder. Her previous high was gold 3, gold 7 maybe. She hit diamond 3 this month. She hit diamond 3, just rolling through, and I was like, "What is it?" And I've spectated a couple of games of her. She's not good. She's okay, she's nothing special. But the fact that she hit diamond 5, and I was like, "This is kind of the state of the new meta, the thing you have, the ease of play of these games, and it's part of the quest." I think it's just a fundamental issue of these quests that they've come out. There are win conditions on them own. Every single time you play the quest reward, you automatically have set in motion your win condition. It's not the old quest. The first time around, there were some jokes. The second time around, they were kind of cute. There was one or two maybe. Gen and Baku, they're linear. These quests feel like, in WoW especially, they're so linear, so streamlined that when you start a game and you can play on turn 1 a card that will benefit you later, and then also automatically just turns into a card on 5 mana that just kind of wins the game, it's caps our format in a way that I don't think any of us expected going in.
No, this was a big surprise.
No one, this expansion for a lot of us felt like a Rosticons. I'm confident going in that a lot of us felt like this was very underpowered, that we were just prepared for another couple months of what we were used to, and we wrote off these quests. We wrote off Galakrond originally, and now we just got smacked. And I think that's kind of why there's been this outcry on Twitter and to the devs, like, hey, like, save us. Like, if this is the future of Wild, where are we really going?
Yeah. Real talk, man. I mean, we'll see. I guess, we'll see what they do. At least, I think what I can kind of hang my hope on at the moment is Ixar saying, like, look, it's on our radar, and we'll hit it. And what they do to it, who knows? And nobody's going to be happy. But I do remember when... and I'm
nerf.
Well, yeah, that's pretty funny. I don't have, like, okay, the example in my mind was when Quest Mage was running rampant, and when they nerfed the quest from 5 spells to 7, and everyone was like, you didn't even touch it. But, like, it was enough. It was barely enough. Like, the deck is still powerful, but it wasn't like an auto loss anymore. And that's where I think we struggle right now, is like, when you face it, it's like, oh my God. Like, if I'm going to win, I have to be on my A game, and I have to draw really well, and the stars have to properly align, and the tide has to be right, and God has to reach his hand down through the clouds and point at me. And if those things don't happen, then I'm going to lose. And for someone, like, when I ladder, I like to do it pretty casually and just kind of have fun. And I have to stop doing that and actually pay attention. And like, it's just different. And so I think it's a double-edged sword. Like, say they hit the quest, or they hit the reward, or they hit whatever it is. Like, I can already pretty much guarantee there's going to be a whole bunch of people who are not happy, or they're going to say it's not enough. But I don't know that it needs that big of a hit. It just needs a little bump. Or make it more skill testing, I mean, that's why Darkglare didn't bother me that much, because it's a skill testing deck. And, like, I loved, depending on what I was playing, it was like, yeah, yeah, play your Dark Lair, and if you're playing it improperly, like, cool, get yourself down real low, and then I'll just kill you. I think we were talking, like, Shmoopie Mommy was saying, like, yeah, the Dark Lair players are great. Like, yes, please reduce your health for me so that I can hit you with Eviscerate, and Wicked Stab. Yeah.
She was burning them out, and toward the end of the month, honestly, people were getting so good at Seed Lock that they weren't getting as low. And that was one of the reasons why she just barely came up short on Legend, was basically just, people were refining lists and getting a little bit more defensive. All of a sudden, whether you were Giants or whether you were Fatigue Lock, you were running Defile. Like, there are, factors that kind of just sort of baked themselves in that made it tough for her.
Yeah.
And honestly, Nate, I think you're assuming that a lot of players would be disappointed with the Seedlock nerf. I think an overwhelming majority, including Warlock mains, would be very happy to revert a Seedlock nerf, something just to open up the meta, open up experimentation. I've long said I would trade Seedlock for 2-mana Dark Lair any day of my life, and I think a lot of us would want to go back to that meta. We always joke and like, oh, this meta sucks. Ah, man, this meta is the worst meta I've ever seen. Like, no, this meta is actually a problem. The snip snap meta was actually a problem.
Yeah.
Like, there were ways to beat Dark Lair. It's just if you wanted to beat Dark Lair.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had to play those decks. And then but I was looking on Twitter today at some old THL lineups. Reno Lock, Shutterwalk, Reno Priest. You could play these strategies. It hadn't quite warped the meta the way it is now. And I think that's where a lot of the angst is coming from, and we really want to see this change. Because we've seen Blizzard do it. We've seen Blizzard nerf Tiller, which I don't even think was that bad compared to what we're seeing now.
No.
We've seen the meta to react to Stealer, to react to Dark Lair. We've seen these things, and it's like, all right, so you're reacting to Demon Seed, but you're not actually solving any of the issues. I've seen 6 nerfs for my class over the past month, and I am dealing it better than anybody else. I am totally cool with what is going on, and that's a problem to me.
That's pretty funny.
That's actually where it's like, all right, we need to rethink this.
So the graphic on the screen, this is from My Legend Climb. These are my stats from HS Replay, and this is just opponents. And so, and this is 39% Warlock. It looks like 50, but this is 39%. But like, that's too much. I mean, and so what does that say? It's overrepresented. And the thing that I found funny, I mean, we got two other super brief news items that we can hit at the end of this conversation real briefly. But this is the funny thing. So Memnarch's a friend of ours, so I feel like I can share this. All right, this is great. So Memnarch gets the Seedlock list with the Giants, and he takes out 2 cards. I don't even know what 2 cards they were. And he drops in Gen and Baku, both in the same deck, and hits rank 4 Legend. Right? Like, look at this. This is insane. And he jokes, like, this is, talk about the dust bait of all dust bait. But he says that, hey, they actually did really well because my opponent's Elucius and Dirty Rats were nullified in their August presence, which is really funny. And it might be true. But, like, the list is so good that you can drop in a couple terrible cards. Like, we were joking last night, like, hey, let's add a couple more cards to this, or what else could you add to this to make it worse and still do fine with it?
Did you see his stats too?
No,
he had a 51% win rate.
He beat me with it on stream. Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even like he cruised in with one of those low 40s. He had a 50. He was above water with this list.
It's great. I mean, it's funny, and it's like, it's kind of funny, sad, but it's funny. And I talked to him last night, and he goes, "Hey, I'm just doing my duty." I was like, "No. This is good. This is good." If you can drop, these cards into this deck and still get here, like, this is a message. I was entertained, but we'll see. It's definitely warped the meta, GulDaniel, you were talking about it earlier, where it's like back in the day, hey, we could get to turn 10 and play N'Zoth or play, Death Knight. And then it was like, okay, well, you can get to turn 8 or something, and maybe I can play a Tog or whatever. And we're at the point now where like none of my games, like turn 6 is late, and turn 7 the game is over one way or the other. Either I win or you win, but like turn 7 is it, and that's just crazy. I mean, it is what it is, but like, wow, we are in a different spot than we've ever been before. And you can't, where this goes back to that old conversation about Wild being the place where you can go play your old fun decks. I think it was Swagwar that said, and I thought this was hilarious, or maybe it was somebody else, but the idea was like, you guys are missing the point. They said you could play them. They didn't say you could win with them. And that's the thing, right? It's like, yeah, sure, you can play all your cards, but you're going to lose on turn 6. So, I like seeing new archetypes. And so seeing these quest decks, like, hey, that's cool. I don't like losing on turn 5 or turn 6, but like Quest Hunter and Quest Warlock and Quest Shaman and Aggro Priest and Ignite Warlock or Ignite Mage, like these are new. And I'm cool with that. Like, they're a little too fine-tuned to my liking, but like, it's interesting.
And I've always said that. I was like, you guys don't understand what you're really asking for. If you're asking for a shakeup in Wild, you're asking for something that's stronger than Reno Priest. You're asking for something that's stronger than the Dark Lair decks we're facing now. That's going to actually push something out. And then as soon as we get a smidge of a taste of it, we're like, oh no, hell no. we got to nerf this.
It's
for Till and Pilgrim, we were like,
yeah.
No, get Turtle Mage out of here. We wanted every deck nerfed, and we're seeing a meta that completely caught 90% of us by surprise, and we really don't know how to react. I think a lot of us had kind of thought in the back of our heads that maybe this was the speeding up of Wild. Dark Lair being the top deck for a Wild. For a while was going to like, all right, maybe the turn limit for Wild had sped up. And then this one was just so stark that it really just shocked Wild to its core. And we were like, hold up, no, this wasn't what we wanted. We just wanted another card to play in Shutterwalk. We just wanted another card to play in Arena Warlock. We didn't want this. And you just pulled up the Tempo Storm meta snapshot, and this is what you get if you really want to see a shakeup on Wild. We are looking at 6 new decks, 5 new decks.
I hit Legend with a tier 3 deck. All right.
Yeah. The United in Stormwind was like, oh, you want a meta shake up? Hold my beer.
100%.
Secret Mage is a meme.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It really is at this point.
Let me tell you this.
I saw one guy playing it. He's playing it very well, like Kisker or something like that. Dude, if you listen to the podcast, GG's, you beat my butt a couple times with it. But like, I don't know how if he's in Legend right now. I don't know how he did it because it's a meme right now.
So this week in THL, I played against Martian Boo, and I switched up my lineup because the first 3 weeks or the first couple of weeks I had brought these quest decks, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do something different this week because I'm getting too predictable. So this week I'm gonna switch it up, and I brought Reno Priest, and I brought Reno Warlock, and I brought Secret Mage, and Martian brought Quest Warlock, which I banned, and he brought Aggro Priest, and he brought Bonk Druid, and he brought what is it, Odd Questline Hunter, and I got curb stomped so hard. Like, so hard. And, like, big ups to Martian. He's a great guy, and he's a very good player.
Yeah.
But, like, it just goes to show you the power level of this stuff is like, well, you can't play your old stuff.
I was talking to Shia on the cast last night, and I just asked him, I was like, Pirate Warrior versus Rena Priest. And he told me the matchup is completely shifted on its head. Like, before Rena Priest just, you saw the Pirate Warrior, you played your things out, you played well, you win the game. Pirate Warrior just dunks on Reno Priest right now.
Oh yeah.
It's not just the quest Warlock. It is these quests in general that dunks on people. I play a lot of casual when I'm at work just because to pass the time. Quest Shaman, it's a 5-mana 7/7 double your crackles. It's insane. Like, these decks just have built-in win conditions. They're so efficient. And I don't know if anyone here plays standard on this thing, but like, there's no way
we do.
Last 2 years. They rotated again in Baku after a year. They're going to have to do the same thing to these quests.
Probably.
Right?
Well, and especially in standard, one thing that I think that we kind of overlooked a bit, and you touched on it right there. These are 5-mana 7/7s. Like, it's not a tempo loss to do your broken thing. Like, I guess it's slightly a tempo loss to play it on turn 1, but like, not really, right? You make that up with the first quest line reward, and then whenever you play it, you get a cheap, high-statted, super impactful card that just swings it completely in your favor. So I completely agree that in standard, I don't think that, things like the Druid one, sure, I can see Guff sticking around, right? I don't think that even standard will abide that too much longer.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It's a good point. I kind of forgot about that, but they rotated Gen and Baku early. Maybe they do that here. I don't know. And I mean, there's the other question. Like this, these quest lines were so impactful. Like, what is this mini set going to do? How far away are we at from a mini set, right? What are we, about a month, maybe 6 weeks away, probably? Because what is the rotation, or an expansion is about, 3 months, right? 4 months?
I'd say early October.
So if the expansion cycle is 4 months, and we get the mini set halfway through, so 2 months in. So I'm just guessing here, right? But we got Stormwind at the very, very first week of August, so we're 1 month in. So we got about 1 month more to go, and then we'll get a mini set.
It's only been a month.
Right? Well, the mistake that I made last month, and maybe it's not a mistake, I don't know, is like I hit Legend on day 1, and then the expansion dropped on day 2, and I was like, oh my god, what is all this stuff? This is not, I don't know even what to do with it. And then I got to experience it in full force this month. But like, is the mini set going to even be impactful? Maybe not. I don't know.
I'd say probably yes. I mean, look at the last couple mini sets we've got. We've had the, one mini set got us Armor Vendor, Arbor Up, Hysteria. The last mini set basically gave us the Primal Dungeoneer way to build a deck. And essentially cemented Flurgle Toxfin. Like, I'm assuming that like anytime these guys are kind of coming up with a set these days, like, I'm not expecting another Rastakhan. Like, every time they've brought something, we didn't think Barons was going to make a shift. Barons made a shift. We didn't think that we thought Darkmoon Fair was good, but Darkmoon Fair dominated. United and Stormwind has turned everything on its head. I'm just assuming that. If a set comes out, it's gonna break things some way, somehow.
There's a good chance.
Some of that is good, right? Because it keeps the format from getting stale. And I know that for the longest time, that was one of the biggest critiques of our format, was that, I mean, you have Secret Mage. It's been good for how long, right? Like, yeah, there are some iterations of it, like, Sage replacing Aluneth and things like that, but the cores remain the same. It doesn't seem like that will necessarily be the case going forward. It hasn't been, at the very least, for the past few sets, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, except for whenever something just completely breaks it, like right now with the questline Warlock. That's one particular thing that is kind of overpowering versus a landscape of different items. So I think you're right that gone is the time that new expansions were not impactful. I think now they just kind of are, and that's okay as long as they don't break the meta like this one did.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're running a little bit long. I want to touch on 2 other news things super briefly, and then we can just talk about what we've been playing. So going back to this, let me pull it up here. We've got a couple things. We've got a new card back with a new achievement. In the game here, this is called the Gift of a Loon card back, and this is very similar to the one in
31.
Yeah, the last I don't remember what it's called, that pretty red one with the mysteries, the Baron's Mysteries, right? So this is the Stormwind Mysteries, and the way that you unlock this card back is by doing the mystery things. Well, anyways, the folks, I presume it was something between like Reddit and between like the WoW Mysteries Discord people from last time, have kind of figured it out and unlocked it. I've not got around to it yet, but there are guides floating around to show you what, the things to do to unlock this. Sheep, you had done it already, right?
Yeah, I've done this already. So whereas last time, even following the guides, it would take you a couple hours to complete it. This time, there are 2 different mystery steps. The first one will take you about 20-30 minutes to get through. That one's a little longer. The second step is much quicker. Especially there's a really cool Google Sheet that you can kind of plug your stuff into, because this one's dynamic. The second one, it's not just, you do whatever it is. It differs from player to player and from like instance to instance.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's pretty cool too. So there's a Google Sheet that they've curated that makes it, really handy, and it's a handy guide to get through it. I knocked the whole thing out in like half of my lunch break today. So it's much quicker than the last one was. And the second one in particular was pretty cool. The first one, I'm like, it was a little tedious, but even at that, 20, 30 minutes to get through the more tedious one. And the second was just really cool. So,
cool. Well, that's exciting. Exciting. Have any you guys done this yet? Aside from
It's on my list just because it's an achievement in the achievement section that will give you something. Does it give you experience too, Sheep?
It does.
I'm on it at some point. I haven't done it yet, but it's on my radar.
We'll post the guide in the show notes so that there's a link to it if people want to try it out or whatever.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm a lowly Warlock D-Gen. I jam Giants and Go Face.
Sorry. Love it. That's great.
And to initiate these, you do have to play Druid against the Innkeeper. So I guess this rules you out.
Yeah. I actually started collecting other class cards because of the Born to Be Wild listener series.
What?
And like I am not in it season 3. I set out season 2 after realizing it would be very expensive, but I'm kind of prepped and ready for season 4 to make my triumphant return.
Love it. Oh, that's great. Okay, one other last little bit of news. There's currently a bug with Cthulhu of all things, the old Cthulhu. Who would have ever guessed this?
Massive buff.
This is insane. So I don't know, was it Clark that figured it out? I don't know. Anyways, what happens is if you play, and what are the chances of this even happening, right? The video of this is crazy. You play Maxima Blastenheimer. So this is the 6-mana legendary that launches a minion out of your deck, and then it goes face, and then it dies. So Cthulhu here goes from a 6/6 and then it gets buff to like, what is it, 128, and then it goes face. Like what is this? Oh, it's
Otters hit legend with it today.
Oh no! Oh, Otters! This
Otters
is a
totally exploited it to legend.
Oh my god, that's pretty funny.
Glorious.
Well, in the past, right, we saw Disguised Toast go to Blizzard jail for exploiting bugs, and so it's like. I saw this discourse on Hearthstone Twitter today between, it was mostly Martian Boo, I think, was asking these questions, like, and Jack as well, was asking, like, I want to try this out, but I'm afraid to get my account banned for exploiting the bugs because I've put so much time and money into this that, like, I don't want that to happen. I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I would love to see it, but, like, I don't want to get, in trouble for doing it. And it also is like, it's how long will this last until they hot fix it? I mean, imagine probably pretty soon, but it's just crazy.
How long did Mechathune Rogue last, where you could use Savory Delights to trigger Mechathune?
Was it a week, maybe 2, something like that.
So we're looking at Tuesday for a patch for this.
That's probably about right. That's probably about right. So, anyways, that's the rest of the news. Getting into what we've all been playing. Let's GulDaniel, what have you been playing? You said primarily this Giants Warlock.
Yeah, I've been pretty hard stuck on Dark Lair and Dark Lair variants since for the past year or so. So I've been playing this. I've been playing this Giants lock. This list did come out just before I saw the Chinese list. Rain to Fire I had started cutting because the Reaver Ryan movement had kind of settled down a little bit.
Yeah.
He's not playing a lot of Paladin. Colt Neophyte is really, really good against Druids and Ignite Mage.
Oh man, it's good against the Hunter too. I had people like the Tax Paladin's been running it as well, and like it jammed me up pretty bad last night. I mean, it stalls you a full turn. So
I've seen a lot more Cold Neophyte and just general playing around, just in like you said, the tax file neutral decks, kind of just slotting it in if they have extra slots. Basically, kind of like you take Memnarch's list, and there are 3 spots in kind of Glare that right now right now I'm running Defile, Cold Neophyte, and Rain of Fire are the 3 slots. Memnarch is running again, Baku, and something else. But I've kind of like taken the approach that I'm not going to lose to aggro, so I run Defile, and I hate Mage. So, so I really hate Mage, and I'm running Cold Neophyte as a mini Lotheb, and then the Rain of Fire is just a quality card to remove your own. Librarians and tour guides continue Dark Lair cycles, I should say.
It's the Battle Master, by the way. Battlegrounds Battle Master.
Yeah, the Battle Master. And that's just a personal fate. I believe Battle Master is technically correct, but a problem that I run into when I'm playing Hearthstone mentally is I hate having a card that will sit in my hand for longer than it's necessary. I want to make sure all my cards are playable. Yeah. And that's something when I switched to Wild I was pretty sure of. So while I recognize the power of Battle Master in my decks, I prefer more proactive plays earlier.
Yeah.
Because it's just kind of a personal thing. I don't know how you guys feel about Hearthstone. I feel that if I beat aggro, I am confident in my own abilities that I will beat the control player. And that's a big FU to my opponent. But I just feel like I'm confident in my own abilities that I will outplay someone else. So let me prevent the aggro high rolls.
Yeah, all right.
And that's how I build decks.
Can I ask you a follow-up question just about a matchup that I'm curious about? Questline Hunter versus Warlock. How is that built up? Because it's not a matchup I've played a whole lot. I've heard that the Questline Hunters are supposed to be favored into Warlocks. Is that the case for you, or is it kind of like how I've kind of experienced this S tier deck where it's like, oh yeah, sure, you can snag a game or two with Questline Hunter, or is it actually favored in that matchup?
So the Questline Hunter matchup is favored Hunter, but when I was playing regular Glare, I had a lot of success against it, and I felt like I could flip the matchup. So a lot of people are looking at, especially this Giants list, there are 2 modes that you can go. You can go Quest, or you can go Giants. Which mode do you play Crystallizer in? Which one will get you a Flesh Giants in? And when I'm playing Quest Hunter, I prioritize getting the Giants down as soon as possible. And I feel like you can flip the matchup, but for the most part, the Quest Hunter is favored, and I feel like you'll win.
That's the only reason we were running Hunter's Mark in that, so that if they drop Giants, you can kill them, because otherwise you lose. But in any non-Warlock game, like Hunter's Mark, is terrible. Like just sit in my hand, and like okay, I can use it, later when I'm trying to refresh my hero power, but like it's a dead card most of the time. So
I think that's actually a great point, Nate. When I see Hunter's Mark come out from the Hunter, I feel like I can steal the game. It's when they're reacting to what I'm doing instead of just shooting me down every single turn.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the best strategy is just ignore what I'm doing. Just go ahead. Just go ahead. Make me have it. Hit me in the face. Make me have to play the Giants. As soon as you are Hunter's marking, you're losing all those points against the other matchups that aren't Warlock. And the points where it's good against Warlock, you're actually benefiting me by not going face.
I agree. There you go. That's some wisdom right there.
I feel like I just gave you the beat Warlock tutorial. I feel like I should have done that reverse and been like, hey, just keep pinging the minions.
Run 4 Hunter's Marks.
No, it's interesting. You're right, though.
Came out on China with more Defiles, Cult, Neophyte. I think double Cults were run in China. This is what I've been running this month. It's a pretty good success. 66% win rate or so. Pretty down the line, pretty standard. The mulligan is pretty easy because you have the Demon Seed, like I said. But the rest of it, never keep Darkglare. That's the thing. Darkglare is the worst card in the deck now.
It's so slow now.
Anyone who's playing it. Yeah, exactly. It's too slow especially against the aggro matchups. You used to be able to like play Darkglare, a bunch of stuff, broom, and you'd clear it. But now on turn 3, especially in this meta with Shadow Priest, Pirate Warrior, they're just online and they're hitting you.
They're fast, yeah.
If you're playing Darkglare on 3, you're technically 4. You've lost the game.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Schmoopie, what have you been playing?
I've been playing a Questline Pirate Warrior. It's the list that I brought to Legend. It's a list that I crafted for my wife to use this month. So what's a little different about it, it's about 90% Blue Train's lists. It's more than 90%. It's like 29 cards, a list I snagged from Blue Train, with 1 card swapped because of a take I saw Corbett take. But the whole philosophy behind the deck is basically complete the quest line ASAP, as quick as possible. And so you're running a bunch of 1-drops. And what I kind of love about this deck, and as far as the play style goes, is I will frequently not play the quest until turn 2. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I don't want to lose the tempo that I would normally have playing a 1-drop and pulling patches from my deck, or dropping a Parachute Brigand. So I will play a small time buck turn 1, pull a Parachute Brigand from my hand, pull patches from my deck, what have you, and then turn 2, drop the quest, drop a N'Zoth first mate, and now I'm showing 5 power turn 2, going to face. I don't find that playing in that style, I complete the quest all that much slower than if I play the quest turn 1. This deck is basically hardwired to get Captain Rakara down turn 6. The only thing you really want to make sure you're playing around when you're playing this deck is that you don't complete the quest too quickly, so that Rakara gets dirty ratted. So you sometimes will hold back a little bit, save a 1-drop, play the 1-drop on 6, play Rakara on 6, go from there. Another little tidbit that I like about the list is I will frequently gamble that I'm going to draw into or draw a 1-drop, and you can kind of make gambles from that. But the questline rewards, Captain Rakara is almost, the meta is so fast, Captain Rakara is almost irrelevant in a lot of matchups.
Yeah, it's almost too slow. It's crazy.
It's all about I get Ankar automatically, and it's about the 2 free pings you get from a cannon shot that can flip an aggro matchup.
Okay, man, I played a ton of this. We used to complain about drawing patches, and drawing patches is not so bad anymore because it's just a 1-drop pirate. Drawing Ankar is worse than drawing patches, right? This is the only weapon that's in the deck now.
But at least you get Ankar on curve.
That's true.
Like, that's the thing. Like, and then you get to draw more. Like, and it gets all your weapon synergies online. And that's kind of the nutty thing about this deck is like it looks like such a brain dead aggro deck where it's just like, let me just spam the board with pirates and I'll get my questline compete and I'm good.
Nah,
but if you play it that way, you are going to be so suboptimal with it because any pirate you pull could be a parachute brigand. And the order you play the pirates is super important because deckhands can only have charge with weapons. So when do you swing with your weapon? When do you don't? Oh, by the way, your small-time bucks have extra attack with the weapon. You could, it's just there's a lot of order of operations things that make this like a really interesting deck to play, especially if you're trying to min-max it for when exactly you want your questline sub-rewards to pick off. Because you might want to save your 2 cannon blasts for the next turn against this aggro priest because they're going to try and swing the board against you. So it was actually a lot of fun to play to Legend. But I have to say, it felt even or better against anything that wasn't good Seedlock players. Good Seedlock players, it felt very unfavored because they always could out-heal past my reach.
Well, plus it's the combo of board clear after board clear after board clear plus the healing. Yeah.
And the ones that were really, really good could get themselves down as low as 2 or 4, and they knew I couldn't finish them, and then they could build up from there. And the bad ones died. And like that was that. And kind of what's kind of cool about this list, Corvette had Rokara in there instead of Sky Captain Crag, which is what I originally had from the Blue Train list. And so I think if you put in Leroy, if you put in Sky Captain Crag instead of the Rokara slot, that's fine. Because it adds a little bit more reach. Maybe I would have scammed 1 or 2 more games if I had a little bit more reach on that end. But Rokara just spirals some aggro matchups where it's not close. Tax Paladin's not close with Rokara. Aggro Priest felt like I was farming them. Unless they had some kind of Mind Blast scam or Shadow Needle scam. And a lot of them are cutting Needle and cutting Shadow spells and going more board-based. So those matchups get easier. But like I said, like I played Arena Walk with this list, and it felt like shooting fish in a barrel. Like they Zeph Blizzard me on 8, and it was a joke because I had the Juggernaut down already, and they had no chance.
Oh no. Anyways.
Right. Yeah, so I took Pirate Warrior to Legend the last 2 months, and what I've seen I played a ton of this and I love it. The change that I've seen over the last month to this month is, like you said, it's getting lower to the ground because you want to complete that quest as soon as possible. Before, like, we took Rokara out, and Rokara is back in now, which is great if you're going wide because Rokara can buff your whole board, which is nice. It's interesting.
Past Defile, which was the big like thing for me, was just like, oh.
Yeah.
So they're waiting for me to build into a Defile. I can drop Rokara on 3, and now I can buff myself out of Defile, conceivably. Now, they can always play like a Tour Guide in Defile, and I'm screwed. And that's just like the crux of a tier S deck, right? So like damned if you damned if you don't. But that was appealing to me.
Yeah. The upgrades are good because you're always going to have weapons post quest reward, and the bucks.
Upgrades are good. The upgrades are good regardless. The upgrades are one of the best cards in the deck. Do not cut the upgrades. Like, you're going to look at this, you're going to net that this deck, and then one of the first cards you're going to cut is upgrade because you think it's a joke. It gives your deckhands charge. It gives your Fog Sail freebooters, damage from hand. It gives your small time bucks plus attack. Do not cut the upgrades ever.
Yeah,
they are fine on their own. I've used plenty of them on turn 2 or turn 3 to turn something on. They're meant to buff up Ankar to make Ankar more of a threat, and it's great when that happens, but there are so many times where it's not ideal. The upgrades are amazing.
And they make your Curse Blade 3 attack.
Exactly. That's it. They make Curse Blade a threat.
How funny. But yeah, no, I like this a lot. And I've seen a couple different versions, but this seems solid. So cool. We're a little bit tight on time, so is there anything else before I kind of switch over to... All right, cool. Then I'm going to jump in.
No, honka.
Nice. All right. I'm going to switch over into mine real quick, and I'll try to keep it brief. But yeah, so here's this Questline Hunter, and it worked out pretty well for me. It's interesting. I don't think the deck is fully refined yet. I kept the stats up here just to kind of see. There was a lot of Ignite Mages and a lot of the Questline Warlocks.
Yeah, I was about to say the Viper, very good card in general, but two of them in your deck list is pretty unique. What were you just targeting Warlock?
No, so here's the thing with this is interesting. I think there's some flex here.
Okay.
The problem with Hunter is that there's no card draw. And so that's where the tradable cards come in. I think Rust-Rot Viper is there twofold. One, I saw a lot more combo Warlock than I did Giants Warlock, and they're all running the weapon. And when they can discount their entire hand to a bunch of zero-cost stuff, like, that hurts. And so I'll just drop the Rust-Rot Viper to destroy the weapon. That being said, like, if I'm trying to complete my quest, and I'll trade it. Like, that's what it's there for. It's a 1 mana trade. It's just a free draw. And so there's 2 Rust-Rot Vipers and there's 1 Impatient Shopkeeper. It's a 3 mana 3/3 rush. And like, if you have to, you can play it for the body, but it's mostly there because it's tradable. Like, because it's like a 1 mana draw card. What's interesting about this? Yeah, sorry. What was your question?
No, I was just curious because like this is the most tradable I've seen since the expansion dropped. I'm just like, so how are you feeling about the keyword in general? Like,
the keyword is good.
Made these is that the reason these cards are seeing play right now?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
well, it's kind of like the old adage that if you could make a, say 20 card deck, that, it would have that much more consistency and you'd be able to kind of get there quicker to your win condition, etc. The tradable cards basically do that. You just have to pay a 1 mana fee to make it happen. In evaluating, kind of, I think, way undervalued tradable, and it's a lot better than I anticipated that it would be in a vacuum. So for sure.
Yeah, and I don't think that this deck is refined yet. It's getting there, but it's not all the way. Hunter struggles with the card draw. Blue Train, this is Blue Train's list. I got it from him. I think him and NHL goofed around with it, and this is kind of what they settled on at the moment. And so it might change. I mean, it worked for me, but the way that Blue Train explained it to me that worked really well is like, hey, this is a control deck. This is not an aggro deck, and this is not about completing the quest as soon as possible. Where like Pirate War, you complete the quest as soon as possible, right? Where here, it's so funny because I was struggling with it at first, and so I took notes, right? Turn 1, quest. Turn 2, hero power. Turn 3, 1 spell and hero power. Turns kind of 4 and 5, you're wanting to you want to get your hero power down to 0. So you finish up that second part of the quest. And then very similar to what y'all were saying before, like there's a lot of dirty rats running around. And so almost never, I don't want to complete the quest and have Tavish sitting in my hand because it's going to get ratted. And so I want to sit on a 1 mana spell on turn 6 so that I can use the spell, complete the quest, play Tavish in 1 turn, and then go off. And it's hard because there's not a lot of card draw. And that's where this struggles, I think, is that, now it's interesting because there's an alternate win con. This runs Auction Master Beardo, which, like I've won with Beardo without even completing the quest because it runs a bunch of 1 mana spells. And so if it gets to that point, like having the hero power cost 0 is awesome. And so I like, if they get low enough, like I could just win without completing the quest. The other piece that I think is really interesting, compare it to Raza Priest. The idea, I mean, it's the same win con, right? And the thing with Raza Priest was you play now Raza Priest is a little better because you play a card and your hero power refreshes, and this is play a spell, but like you have to actually have spells in your hand to play to get your hero power to refresh, and if you're top decking, like you don't have that, and so you need to be sitting on either some draw or a couple few cards. Now your hero power does 3, which is great, but you need to be judicious with your cards, and so it's not always the greatest play to just be spending and to complete the quest as soon as possible, because then you've got nothing in your top decking and then you just lose. There's a couple interesting synergies here. On the Hunt or Wound Prey both generate a 1/1 beast, and so a lot of times I would find myself holding those to play with Kill Command. So that Kill Command is 5 instead of 3, which is nice. Against the Warlocks, like GulDaniel was saying, like just go face, don't touch the minions. Like that's how you win. Looking at my win rate, I was about 50-50 against the Warlocks. And that's not that bad. And, you know, the dead cards in here, like Hunter's Mark was dead most of the time, but at the end of the day, it's a 1-mana spell, so if you wait until you've got Tavish or Beardo down, it can refresh your hero power for 1 mana, so there's that. Toxic Reinforcements kind of sucks against Warlock, because if you have to be careful how you play it, at least, because if you've got them down and they run their stuff into it and they're taking damage on their turn, it just helps them complete the quest quicker. And so there were a couple of games where I got lethal, where I would wait to complete my Toxic Reinforcements until it was my turn, and then I would use like Bolo Shot or Power Shot to kill all 3, and then get a quest tick and deal 6 damage. But like you got to be careful because the Warlock will use it against you. The tradable cards feel kind of meh, but it's draw. You know, I'd be really tempted to drop in like a quick shot or something because it's 3 damage, but if you're top decking, you draw a card. I actually faced Corb on ladder last night and I beat him, which was like rare occurrence, right? But he was playing a non-odd version, and he was running God, what is it called? The one Hunter's Mark or no. It was the one that draws a beast from your deck.
Oh, Master's Call?
Master's Call, I think it was.
Scavenger's Ingenuity?
Yeah, I don't know. He was running some different cards. I know he's experimenting with it. I didn't watch his stream, so I'll have to check it out. But I know he's been experimenting with this, with the different versions of this. Like, this isn't refined yet, but it's fun. Tracking is like one of the best cards in the deck. Rapid Fire is good. Flare is great. I mean, it's just card draw. The cards that feel like Toxic Reinforcements is kind of hit and miss for me. Baku is clearly the worst card in the deck. The Power Shot,
but it's a beast.
Hey, I mean, the only time Baku is good is if it gets dirty ratted, which is like never. The Power Shot isn't great because there wasn't a lot of. It was so much Warlock. Like if you're facing aggro, like Power Shot is good against the aggro priest. Power Shot was good against pirates, but that's about it. But it's fun. I like it. I'm anxious to see what happens when the mini set comes out, or to continue to kind of tweak this a little bit. But it's close, and it's definitely a lot of fun. And again, giant thanks to Blue Train who really kind of coached me on how to play this. And he's like, all right, I got to go to bed. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to just keep playing this for 3 more hours. And,
how long did this go on? I eventually got there.
Hey, it worked. I mean, what was great is like, I would see a Warlock player get themselves down to 8 health and think that they're out of range. And I would play aim shot for 3, hero power for 5. And I'm like, yeah, I can hit you for 8, no problem. So having a targeted hero power that does 3 every turn is really cool. Mm-hmm. It's fun. What I want to see in this is card draw. That would make it great. Yeah. So, we'll see. But I enjoy it. I did get all the games on video, and so I'll be kind of mashing those together and drop them on YouTube later this week. Anyways, sort of running out of time here. Sheep, what have you been playing? I want to see this clown paladin list.
Yeah, so I've been clowning around ladder myself. So SchmoopieDaddy and I ran into one another on the ladder last week. I was playing some Uther OTK, and Schmoopie was clowning around then, and it kind of refreshed my memory. So I decided to get in the carny spirit and bust those clowns out myself. And I've been having a lot of fun with it. I've only really been laddering over a couple of lunches, so I haven't, quite done the grind up to legend yet myself. But it's been a lot of fun. It's whenever I don't draw prismatic lens, it doesn't typically work so well for me. But when I do, it works pretty great. And there are a couple of obviously pretty heavy in the draw. You hard mull for prismatic lens, try and get your high roll on, and it's great. If you can have righteous cause when you play a corrupted clown, oh, chef's kiss, incredible. So that's always a lot of fun. And I found that city tax was really helpful with that tradable aspect as well. So that's been a blast. So thank you, Schmoopie, for inspiring me to get back to the clowning around roots. And of course, then I touched base with a previous THL opponent and grabbed Oddlaw's list from whenever he and I played week 1 of Wild THL, and grabbed that one and have been having a blast. I also, over lunch today, while I was clowning around on ladder, also made a little image that I shared with Nate for my next act, world domination, with a doll of the Joaquin Phoenix's Joker.
Right, yeah.
It's so dumb. It's so great. Oh, it's incredible. So
I love it.
Clowning around on ladder, clowning around with Photoshop, just having a blast.
That's great. Good times, man. That's funny.
Definitely try Blessed Goods over either Flash Heal or Hand of a Doll, just because you can discover a card that can corrupt the clowns, or you can discover another Spear of Sapience, or you can discover another secret. Just try that out, because that's also a card that's overperformed from the new set. Specifically in Clown Paladin, it's trash everywhere else. But in Clown Paladin, oh my goodness.
I'll definitely have to check that out, because there are a number of times when I've prismatic lensed into Prismatic Lens and Carnival Clown, and it's like, well, Prismatic Lens is the top end outside of the clowns, and I have no way to corrupt it. So Blessed Goods could have prayed my way into corrupting those clowns, and world domination for that game at least.
Seeing the screenshots that you were sending over was so great. I mean, it's just like, you did what now? This is awesome.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what people are talking about. The meta's fine. Turn 4 corrupted clowns all over the board. Incredible.
Good times.
No, wild.
That's great. That's great. Okay, well, let's sort of start wrapping things up. This is an awfully long show, and we've got a match to host shortly. Sheep, do you mind telling us about this last week's weekly challenge?
Absolutely. So last week's challenge was to produce the biggest board of legendaries that you can, specifically generated from Rotface. So our winner is Hoster. So Hoster made 4 minions from Rotface, and it looks like a Ziliax thrown in there. Twin Emperor Veclor. Love to see whenever Veclor cracks out of there, because you actually have some taunt to keep people from hitting you in the face, which to be real, if you're playing Rotface, you definitely love to see it. And not only did they do that, they did that in ranked too. So mad props to Hoster as well.
Yeah, that was incredible. Ranked, like, wow, okay. I like that they were using the Garrosh Death Knight, so the hero power could trigger the Rot Face, which is great.
It's especially funny in the screenshot that they sent. The the Death Knight Garrosh, the hero power hadn't even had to be used to get there, which is pretty clutch.
Right, that's pretty crazy. Now,
So
also,
we do have an honorable mention as well.
yeah,
And this one would have won, except the honorable mention is Shibo. So Shibo was the one who presented the challenge to us to begin with. So unfortunately, not quite eligible to win his own challenge. But not only did he create a larger board, but he did it on stream. So,
and he did it on ladder
honorable
too.
Mention. He did it what?
He did it on ladder as well.
Yeah, sure did. Let's go. Double ladder contributions to this week's weekly challenge. Not necessary, but we love to see the dedication.
That's great. And I love seeing, nothing against, Mikkel or Kenray or anybody, but it's really kind of nice to see someone new win it for a change. So, congrats to Haster. That's really cool. So, for this week's challenge, Schmoopie helped come up with it, and it's kind of in the spirit of all of this Warlock domination. And so the challenge for this coming week is, how much fatigue damage can you do in one turn? It can be either to you or your opponent. So Schmoopie, can you elaborate a little bit?
Basically, we're looking at overkill. So we're not looking at total fatigue damage dealt. We're just looking at just overkill, because that's an easy screenshot. How much extra damage dealt by fatigue can you do to either the opponent or yourself? And you can get a little creative on how you build around this, but that's basically what we're looking for. So for the largest amount of overkill done by fatigue damage, either from yourself, to yourself or your opponent, and just a screenshot of the final amount dealt.
Nice. All right, I like it. That's an easy one to show us, because it's hard to show us proof of 1 damage, 2 damage, 3 damage. I just want to see the final one. So there's a lot of creative ways that this can be done. I was telling Schmoopie the other day that this was a throwback to when Craig and I did Into the Wild years ago. One of our very first guests was Jonah Ra, and we were talking about a Jade Mill Druid. The only Jades that it was running were Jade Idols, and everything else, it was a control/fatigue deck, and then you would mill your opponent to death. We talk about wild being wild, this is years ago at this point, but yeah, it's crazy. So in order to participate, you can play these games. You play them on ladder if you're really feeling brave. If you want, you can play them in casual. Cannot do them against a friend. You cannot do them against the innkeeper or other PvE content. It's just too easy. But we also don't want you to tank your rank. So send us a screenshot. Take a screenshot. You can also send us a game replay from HS Replay. Send us the link, or Firestone Deck Tracker. Send us the replay. But screenshot is fine. In our Discord, we've got a channel called Weekly Challenges. Post it there. The nice thing about posting it there is, what we love to see is when players kind of one-up each other throughout the week. And so someone do it, with 5, and then someone do it 6, someone do it 10 or whatever. And then there's that challenge, this little kind of competition going on. And anyways, post it in that channel. At the end of the week, we will take the winner. We will share it on next week's show. The person who wins, we will gift them 2 packs on us, but more importantly, get bragging rights. And that's the true spirit of this. It's just to engage in friendly, community-involved competition. So, anyways.
Can I just clarify just one more point?
Yeah, of course.
We'll move on, of course. Again, we're looking at overkill. We're not looking at total damage dealt. So if you're at 30 and you overkill by 4 because you killed an Octosari and you drew a bunch of cards, that's great, but your score is 4. Your score is not 34. So make sure that it's overkill. It's the final number that's posted in the picture.
Very good clarification.
All right. Well, that is about it for our show. It's been an awesome night. It's been a nice long show. It's really good talking to you all. For everybody who out there who's watching, hanging out with us, thank you very much. If you want to stay tuned, we are going to host the match Sheep City versus K in our Born to Be Wild listener series, and that's going to be a lot of fun. If you're listening to the audio version of this and you want to watch that match, again, our listener series is a custom
deck building challenge.
Thank you.
Series format.
Getting old, having a little brain aneurysm there. Anyways, before we leave the show for the day, I do want to say a big giant thank you to the supporters of our show, primarily Shokunin, who is the executive producer of our show. Thank you so much for your support. We really sincerely do appreciate you, and also say thank you to our patrons. So Disruptor 108, Claudette G, Daniel B, Wildcard, Aramorn, Ben from Work, Turtle Boy, and Number Theory. Thank you so much for being our patrons. We really do appreciate your support. If you are somebody watching or listening who's interested in supporting us financially, you can visit our website at borntobewildhs.com. If you click on the Find Us page, there's a link to our Patreon. It's in severe need of a revamp that we should probably get to pretty soon. But if you're interested in contributing, there's little things as low as $1 a month that do get put back into our show here. If you're somebody who's on Twitch a lot and you're interested, we do have emotes that you can unlock by subscribing to us, of our cute little mascot here, Nas, and we've got several of those. So yeah. Hey, GulDaniel, I want to say a big giant thank you for donating your time, for hanging out with us. It's always good to spend some more time with you, and really appreciate you hanging out with us. For people who want to follow you, listen to your podcast, or follow your content, where can people find you?
Yeah, I am part of the 2 co-host headed monster that is the Hearthstoners. We're the spiritual ancestor, or not ancestor, I don't know what I'm talking about. Sorry. A successor to the Tier 5 podcast. We're kind of belligerent, drunk, and we talk about whatever was going on. More of if you're in the know, you know kind of podcast. Because we do touch on a lot of the Twitter stuff and what's going on in the community and whatnot. So if you know more people, it helps. But I appreciate you so much for having me back on, guys. It means a lot. I'm completely honored. 3rd time calling squatters' rights here, so I feel like I'm basically a host at this point.
Love it.
You can find me at Twitch and Twitter at GulDaniel. It's spelled exactly how it sounds, except for the L's are ones.
Because you're number 1.
Hit those rank 1s occasionally. I mostly just stream some Hearthstone occasionally, and then Pokemon Unite when I'm feeling a little frisky. Actually, I'm pretty much a Pokemon Unite streamer. But thank you guys so much for having me on. It was awesome to hang out with you, Nate, and Electric Sheep Shitty. Get to know you, and SchmoopieDaddy. Get to know you a little bit more, and this awesome community that you guys have built. That you guys are a part of, and I love each and every one of you guys, and thank you so much for having me on. I'm gonna shut up.
Love it. Hey, Sheep, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me around the internet at Electric Sheep City, at places where that fits, like Twitch, and at eSheep City, at places where that doesn't fit, like Twitter. And I, of course, would like to make a special thanks to GulDaniel and SchmoopieDaddy for coming in and hanging out with us. It was a blast getting to know you better and catching up. Truly a pleasure to hang out with you. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
SchmoopieDaddy, where around the internet can you be seen?
You can find me almost exclusively in the Born to Be Wild Discord, of course. But no, seriously, I don't really, dabble in Twitter. I don't stream yet. So if you want to come hang out, if you want to really, talk to the SchmoopieDaddy, come find me on Discord. The best place to do that's probably the Born to Be Wild Discord. I'm very active there. And I'd like to shout out my wife, Schmoopie Mommy, who is killing it on her climb thus far. She's taken Questline Pirate Warrior up to D5. She's still learning the deck, even though, and she's got a 9-star bonus. So she's run out of star bonus, and now she's just trying to figure out how to play the deck into a day 3 meta, which is like, all right, you're swimming with sharks now. Good luck. And she's doing great. She's about 50% on Reno. She's like, I go up a star, I go down a star, I go up a star, I go down a star. And I'd also like to shout out my best friend in real life, Neon Heron, who was in amongst the thick of it, amongst the Twitter fiasco that was that Tuesday? Was that Wednesday? Whenever that went down, that nonsense. Not being toxic, making salient points, just well thought out, just easy discourse, the kind of thing that we should do about things more important than Hearthstone. But it happened to be about Wild Hearthstone, and he was defending it. And I want to shout him out for doing things, the right way, and just being an overall good dude.
Nice. Yeah, and Schmoopie, I do want to say also big giant thank you to you for coming on this week, for filling in Hydra's shoes. We really appreciate it. We always love talking to you. Got a lot of good things to say, and you're super fun to hang out with. So thank you also for donating your time to us and just spending time with us tonight. Really, really, really appreciate it. For those of you hey, for anybody who's looking to interact with me or follow my content, I'm pretty active on Twitter, probably more so than I should be. You can find me at NateWolfTCG. It's NateWolfeTCG. More importantly, you can find the show on our website. It's borntobewildhs.com. And normally Hydra would do this part, but he always really likes to push the Discord. And so if you are interested in interacting with other members of the Wild community, we've got a really active Discord, got a lot of people in it, and it's pretty active. We share a bunch of things, funny usernames, we share deck lists, we share replays, we share memes. I mean, it's just a kind of a nice place, pretty wholesome content, and it's a lot of fun. If you're interested in interacting with us there, the easiest way to find the Discord is if you go to our website. Again, it's borntobewildhs.com. There's a link up at the top that says Find Us, and on that Find Us page, there's a link to the Discord. It'll take you right there. It's an open invite, and so we'd love to have you. We'd love to hang out with you. One final thing before we wrap up the show. We've been ending lately with kind of some special shout outs. Got your Schmoopie, really appreciate it. Love Schmoopie Mommy. I think we're all invested in her climb now as well, and so I want to continue hearing updates, and I love that. Also, big shout out to Neon. For me personally, I want to give a big shout out to Martian Boo, who utterly destroyed me, but was nice about it in THL this week. And also a big shout out and thank you to my good friend Blue Train for hanging out, chatting with me, co-oping earlier this week. It's always more fun, at least for me, to climb with a friend than it is to climb solo, just to have someone to talk through games with or just to spend time with. So I really appreciated that. Big shout out to JVJD for hanging out and chatting in stream this week. It was really interesting. Like, I'm sitting here, look over it and see the numbers, and there's like 50 some viewers. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of people. And I've got one person in chat who's chatting, and that's it. And it was JVJD, and it was really great because it was like almost, it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sitting here half asleep, and it was really great to have someone to talk to. And so I really appreciated that. It was super great. So thank you so much, JVJD. It was awesome. And yeah, that's it for me. Sheep, what about you? Anybody you want to shout out this week?
Yeah, so first I'd like to shout out Floop. So we queued up into one another on ladder, and Floop's username is not Floop on ladder. So
El Capitan.
El Capitan, exactly. So I saw the username and like got on Discord and was like, hey, like good luck to one another. So I was clowning around over my lunch break, and Floop was playing Odd Paladin, and it was pretty intense. Floop got me down to 1 health.
Oof.
And
wow.
I was still able to eventually overcome. So it was, as you can tell, super intense. So big shout out to Floop, because that was a very memorable game, and actually was able to like do the official handshake and become friends on Battle.net after, we already knew each other outside of that arena already. So of course, shout out to Floop. And shout out as well to SchmoopieDaddy and Oddlaw for inspiring me to jump back into, some of the more like fun decks that are not quite as sweaty, just trying to grind ranks, but having fun, chilling out with the game, and that's been a much kind of a better mind space to approach the game for me. So shout outs to y'all as well.
Nice. All right, GulDaniel, you get the last word. Anybody you want to shout out, any words of wisdom, or anyone you want to say hello to? Hi, Mom.
Yeah. Yeah, real hi, Mom. Shout out to everyone who's enduring this Warlock meta as we are embracing the true love of Gul'Dan as it spreads upon us, each and every one of us. Shout out to my co-host, Shivasena. He's a really great dude and a hell of a player, hell of a streamer. I hate to admit it, he is quite the player, and he generally gets the best of me. We hold the podcast, the Hearthstoners, over on his Twitter, and then I would like to Twitch. Sorry, shout out Kasu and Binks Plays. They've been teaching me the ropes of Pokemon Unite over the past couple months and yelling at me a whole lot, and I appreciate each and every one of the times that they chew me out for not rotating fast enough or not getting the proper objective, because it's made me a better player. Nice. And it's good to have friends that hold you accountable, but at the same time want to see you do well in this community. Nice.
Wiser words were never spoken. And you heard that on Born to Be Warlock.
Hold on to your mug. We're in for a wild night.
Wild. Feel the power of the wild world.
That was wild.
Thank you.